opportunity to catch up. Anyway, good morning, guys. My name is Cyrus Dirangu, and I'm coming at you live from Nairobi, Kenya. And this fine morning, we're going to be hosting the Global Power Platform Bootcamp, and I want to personally welcome you. So, welcome to Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2022, Nairobi. In Nairobi, of course, Nairobi, Kenya. Hosted by me, Cyrus Ndirangu, and co-hosted by Eric, who's going to be on the chat, and Laura, who's going to be on social media. Co-organized by everybody in the wonderful team that includes Julia, Muiruri, Bethany, Jepchumba, Shadrach Kiprotich, and Laura. It's an honor to have all of you here, and I think Shadrach is going to be dealing with admitting people into the session. And today we have a ton of great sessions for you here today. And here's what you can expect from today's session. So let me just kindly share the agenda of the day. So here's today's agenda. And our first speaker is going to be Consolata Gisheru, who is a Better Microsoft Launchpad Ambassador, who is also a co-organizer for this wonderful event since version 1 or since season 1. And she's going to be talking to us about the opportunities in Power Platform. And so what is the Global Power Platform Bootcamp? I would say it's a global community that encourages the use and the work and the tooling around the Power Platform and the Powerapps platform, low-code platform, which is backed by Microsoft. So Consolata Gisheru will start us off at 10 a.m., which is we're about 6 minutes late, and give us opportunities in Power Platform. We're going to head on over to an overview of Powerapps, whether you need Powerapps in your organization. That one is going to be given by Shadrach Kiprotich, who is a Better MLSA. Then we're going to head on to a deep dive into Power BI with Julia Muiruri, who is a Gold Microsoft Launchpad Ambassador, and she has some amazing tips that she's going to share with us in this session. We're going to get started with Power Automate to automate your applications with Bethany Jepchumba, who is a Microsoft certified trainer and also a Gold Microsoft Launchpad Ambassador. We're going to build a chatbot on virtual agents. This is a session I'm really waiting for with Someleze Diko, who is a Microsoft Launchpad Ambassador. And lastly, but not least, we're going to kickstart a career in Power Platform with Joe Camp, who is the one and only developer advocacy for Powerapps. If you don't know him, you're in the wrong place. Anyway, you're in the right place because you're going to hear him talk about kickstarting your career in Power Platform. And without much further ado, we're going to be having the chat is open for everyone. So if you have any questions you feel like you'd want to chat, our social media platforms are open. You can engage with us from Twitter. And feel free to comment on the section where you're joining us from. Personally, I'm joining from Embakasi, and it looks like a beautiful morning from my side. And without much further ado, I think I'm going to give the platform to Consolata, who is going to kick us off. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Consolata Gisheru. I'm excited to be with you today. Yes, so it is version 2 of Global Power Platform Bootcamp in Nairobi here. And I'm honored to be with you to be opening up these amazing sessions. So I'll just share my screen and you can get started with just a sample of what I'd prepared, though I think this will be more of a it will be more of a discussion. So feel free to ask any questions on the chat. Yeah, and feel free to also interrupt me in the middle in case you have a very urgent question or something you need me to clarify. So kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Awesome. So just a bit about myself. I'm Consolata Gisheru. I'm a Microsoft Launchpad Ambassador. I'm also a Microsoft Certified Professional on Azure Powerapps and Teams Admin. Yeah, and based on the Powerapps, Powerapps and the Power Platform. I'm a business intelligence applications developer at Sibasi Limited. Yeah, so I also engage in student activities and trainings, and my personal mission is actually to empower everybody so that they can be able to use tech and just make their daily activities much more efficient and much better. Yeah, so what I had in mind first, I'll just go through a brief introduction to what is actually Power Platform, what composes the Power Platform, and then we can look at the opportunities that you can venture into in this amazing environment, and what do you need? You need coding skills, you need developer skills, or do you just need, you know, a very curious mind and an open mind to learn? Okay, so Power Platform actually has four main building blocks. So we have Power BI. So Power BI is for basically data reporting and visualizing, or say the business analytics side of things. Then we have Powerapps for application development. So on Powerapps, you can build. We have Shadrach will go through this in much deeper, but you can build the different types of applications depending on the need of the organization, or depending on the need of the organization or the current need that you have. We also have process automation through Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents for majorly for customer engagement, and you know 247 availability of information, most especially for the service based industries. Yeah, and all these require actually have data. They are built on top of data, and this data can sit either on Microsoft Dataverse, which is basically a data warehouse for the Power Platform, or they can also sit on SharePoint, and you can also connect to other Office 365 applications like Excel. Uh, yeah. Any, I think there's a question. Oh, so I was saying you can connect to other data sources, just SharePoint list, OneDrive, Excel, and also you can have like third-party connectors that allow you to connect to the different types of data warehouses like SQL Server. Yeah, so that's just an overview of Power Platform and what it encompasses. So about the opportunities that one can venture into in this space. So one, you can become a Power BI analyst or a BI, a BI, well, a business analytics developer, something. Yeah, the title doesn't really matter a lot, but you can specialize into the BI side and just become a purely deal with data, the data models. You can transform, you can load any raw data, transform it, and create very nice visualizations, as will be shown in the next sessions. You can also choose to become a Powerapps developer. So what a Powerapps developer does, or a Power Platform developer, they develop purely like they come up with a design and the architecture of different apps. They also analyze the business need so that they are able to suit the app to the specific business. They also design and customize the applications, like how we have mobile application developers on the coding side. So we have Powerapps developers who actually just develop apps for Powerapps. Yeah. Then okay, for the process automation side, I think anybody can, we don't have like a very big title for process automation, but anybody can be involved in this process automation, whether a student, a manager, basically any role you have, you can use Power Automate. It is pretty simple to learn and actually, enhance your business productivity and your business processes. We also have for the Power Virtual Agents, it's also pretty easy to learn and, build up a career. Okay, not necessarily like a specific career, but it is easy to integrate with what you actually do on a daily basis. For example, let's say you have a site that you sell, you have a website that you sell things, or you have a hotel and you'd like people to actually come and book, and maybe they need some clarification on the payment details or something. You can actually add a Power Virtual Agent or a chatbot on your site and feed it some information so that anytime, just to give the customer on demand information, because you may not be available there to answer every query at all hours of the day and night. So this is where this really comes in handy to actually, just help your business grow and ensure the business flows flawlessly. Yeah, so for okay, so those are just some of the opportunities that you can venture into in Power Platform. Are there any questions up to that point before I continue on to the next part?
I believe if anyone has questions, they can drop them on the chat, and we'll be able to get to them as they come.
Okay. Okay, so uh, the next part was how now. Okay, how do you get to know of these opportunities? How do you learn? So I'll just stop sharing my screen and share my whole tab.
Okay. Thank you so much, Consolata. I think no questions means everybody understood the first session perfectly. That was an amazing overview of the Power Platform. She really helped us understand, and she really gave us an overview of what the next speaker is going to be talking about. Who is Shadrach? Shadrach is a better Microsoft Lansdowne ambassador, and he is going to be giving us an overview. He's going to be giving us an overview of Powerapps. Without much further ado, welcome Shadrach. The platform is yours.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. Hi, everyone. My name is Shadrach. Let me start sharing my screen. And I'm joining you live from Nakuru. So just a minute as I share my screen.
Yeah, feel free to drop by the chat where you're joining from. Consolata is supposed to let us know where she's joining from. I'm joining from Embakasi. Shadrach is Nakuru. Drop by the chat and let us know where you're live from.
Then slides, okay. So my name is Shadrach Protich, and I'll be taking you through the overview of Powerapps, where we are going to go deep into what is Powerapps and go on a demo. So about me, I'm a .NET developer, and also I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and also a mobile developer specialized in Flutter. And also I'm the lead Power Platform Kenya user group. So let's jump into it now. So for today, we're going to cover like what is Powerapps, and then I'll just take you briefly through what is the background of Powerapps, so like a use case that like of a company that has been able to apply Powerapps and it has been successful. It has been able to help the company produce a lot, have a good flow of work, and then setting up the Powerapps environment and also the components of the Powerapps and the business value of Powerapps, like what you can be able to gain out of Powerapps. And then finally, we're going to go on a demo. So straight into it. I hope, Cyrus, you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So what is Powerapps? So Powerapps is a low-code service that is under the Power Platform, where you can be able to build custom application for your organization. If you are thinking of business application, then this is the right place for you, where it simplifies the development cycle of your business application, and it equips business users and developers to build custom native mobile application and also web application for your business. In this century, we know that data is the oil for this century, right? And business, they are able to develop a lot of processes is going on a business, and definitely there is a lot of data being generated. And how can you be able to leverage on these power apps to be able now to manage all those data that is coming out of your business? So you can be able to build power apps application where you can be able to have those data and also have a centralized data where all the people within your organization can be able to access, and also a web application where external users can be able to access the data for your company. And one of the benefits of Powerapps is that it's going to simplify a lot of tasks, and also it's cost effective. So for the case study, we are going to study about Heathrow Airport, which is the most busiest airport in the world, where we have flight every 45 seconds and thousands of passengers. But now the question is, there is a lot of paperwork. There was a lot of paperwork that was being done there. Imagine processing of the passports, flight check-ins and everything. So imagine this is the most busiest airport in the world, and there is a lot of transactions going on between every second, and we need to save on time and ensure that the operation is smooth. And this is a story that is known worldwide from Samit Saini, one of the security officers who developed mobile application, Powerapps application, where they can be able to do all this within the shortest time possible and be able to save on time, ensure that there is a smooth operations within the airport. So this is the case study that I felt that there was a need to put out across. And then, so Powerapps is among the Power Platform cloud-based services where you can be able to build web and mobile application without writing code. I can say it's a low-code, no-code platform as a service, which also like entails Power BI and Power Automate, where we're going to be looking all these Power BI and Automate today. So Powerapps, they are kind of interconnected with the other Power Platform services, where you can be able to build a application where you can be able to act on data during analysis, and also those data that are being generated from the Powerapps can be able to be integrated with the other Power Platform services, that is the Flow and the Power BI, where we'll be going deep into all this. And also we have the Microsoft Dataverse, that was the commonly referred as the Common Data Service, and AI Builder, and also the data connectors. So for Powerapps, what can we build? So Powerapps is a Office 365 component where you can be able to build application based on existing data from Office 365, talk of the SharePoint, Excel, and all those services that are being provided by the Office 365. Form-based application which capture data. You can be able to integrate intelligent services, like for example, the AI Builder, where you can be able to capture data from the forms. You can also be able to integrate the Azure Cognitive Services and the apps that leverage phone features, e.g. the GPS, the camera, and such a view. and apps that call existing API. So like you can be able to connect all these platforms under the Powerapps. So how it works? So we have like Powerapps. You can be able to build on existing data, and like for the Powerapps cloud, you can be able to publish apps to people in your organization so that they can access anywhere. As long as you have the Office 365 within your company and you have the Powerapps, then you can be able to share the application that you've been able to build to people within your organization, and they can be able to access as long as they have the license to the Powerapps and also the Office 365. And then you can use on web and mobile. So like this does not mean that you can be able to publish your application on Play Store, but rather you can be able to download a Powerapps app from the Play Store where you can be able to access all the application that has been shared to you. So like that's one of the benefit. Like you can be able to access more than 10 applications that has been shared to you via the Powerapps app. I hope you get that Powerapps application from the Play Store. And then you can be able to create in Powerapps Studio, build apps in a visual experience that shows exactly what you'll get, which is like what you see is what you get. So like you can be able to build application that uh, you like add features that you want to get them, and also like you can use the existing data from your company and be able to connect to about more than 200 custom connectors that you can be able to integrate with Powerapps. For example, Firebase, if you have data on Firebase, you can be able to integrate it easily, and also like build connections where you can build an apps that interact with your data in sources and respect their permissions. So we have about 4 components of Powerapps, where we have the Canvas app, where you can build a Canvas apps for web, mobile, and tablet applications by designing the app to meet the user experience. So for the Canvas app, you start from a canvas, an empty canvas, where you can start from scratch building your application, depending on the how you want, depending on the need of your business. Like for example, if I'm building an application to help me collect some data, so I can just start from an empty canvas and be able to design an application that meet that criteria. So, and also we have the model driven application, where you can be able to start from business data model, building up from the core of the business. So like for example, if I have some kind of business rules for my company, so I can be able to start from there. Like for example, if a customer comes into my store, so like this is the procedure to go about. So like I can start from there. And also like we have the portal. So like for one of the restrictions about Powerapps is that only people within your organization can be able to access the Powerapps app. But now we have the Powerapps portal, where you can be able to create an external facing website where people outside your organization can be able to access data. They can be able to view data and also get information about your business. And then also we have the Microsoft Dataverse, which helps you securely store and manage data that's used by business application. So that was like what I was I'm talking about, like having kind of a business process flow within your organization or business policies. So like you can be able to start from the end. The good thing about this is that like you can be able to get thousands of tables within the Microsoft Dataverse, where you can be able to start from there. Then some of the features of Powerapps is that you can be able to easily integrate with other Microsoft services, like the OneDrive, SharePoint, Azure Cognitive Services, and also generally the Office 365 and also external connectors. And then it's user friendly. It supports Powerup supports a user friendly interface where you can be able to it's responsive to mobile, tablet, and also like to your laptop. We have the canvas and model driven application. So depending on the needs of your business, you can be able to do a canvas application or a model driven application. We have the cloud connectivity, where you can be able to access cloud services like SQL, Google Drive, and etc. It's cost effective. So for example, if I need an application just to use for like a single event, I do not need to hire a front-end developer, back-end developer to be able to build this application for me. And also, like, I don't need to pay for the hosting services. As long as I have the access to Office 365, I can be able to just build an application that I'll be using for that maybe like a 1 week event, rather than employing or like hiring a front-end developer to build something for me that I can be able to just use for 1 week. So it's a fantastic tool to use. And also we have the Dataverse, where it's secure, where you like you can be able to store your like data securely. Then I'll jump into the demo. So like for our demo, I'm just going to have a scenario here. So like I guess like from the folks from Kenya, I know like you normally see the traffic police officers, they normally have paperwork while on traffic, where they write offenses that have been committed, and also kind of regulating the traffic on the or like on the road. So like one of the challenges here is paperwork, and most of the time you find that paperwork is not that much effective, where you can be like they can be able to get lost or something like that. And definitely once the paperwork has been lost or something like that, then it becomes a challenge to you as the person who has committed a crime, where like you kind of follow up something, or like an offense that you committed. So like it ends up like costly to you or something like that. And then then also there is a need for traffic police officers to collaborate on this application. Like for example, I need to collaborate with another police officer from the other kind of street to help me. How do I put this across? Like collaborate, like you normally see the like walkie-talkies or something like that. So like we are going to jump onto the demo of this application. And then, oh, I forgot something about licenses of Powerapps. So like we have like as long as you have the access to Office 365 account, you can be able to access Powerapps. So like and also like for the environments, so like for a business, you can be able to create, like for example, if you have, let me just head on to my website. I hope you can see the web. So like for the admin portal, where I need to create environments for my business, like for example, I need to create an environment for for my finance department, for my IT department. So like this is where I'll be able to create all those environments. So just go to admin.powerplatform.com and you can be able to access all this. So like I'll just create a new environment here, choose a name and all this. But currently I have access to Office 365, so I'll be using the default environment. So, and to access the Powerapps, you can just go to make.powerapps.com, or like just from your Office 365, you can just come onto this side, all apps, and you can be able to access your Powerapps here, and also like the other Power Platform components. So like just click on it and it will just take you to make.powerapps.com. So it's simpler that way. So like this is where we are going to build our application. and you can see the environment that I am in. It's Microsoft like Student Partner. So if I created another environment here, I can be able to access that environment. Let me try and see. So I can say Power Platform Bootcamp test default, and then I just create it. Oh, I don't have permission to. Let me just use trial. I don't have access to this, so I'm just going to go with that. So I'll just use the default that I have, which is the Microsoft in Student Partner. And then I can start from blank. That was the canvas, Dataverse, SharePoint. So like depending on where my data is stored, I can be able to start from that. And more create options where I can be able to start even from templates. So like, for example, you need an application where there is a meeting capture, onboarding tasks, budget tracker. If I need an application to track my budget, so this is the right template for you to use. Help desk, site inspections, leave requests. Like for example, if I'm a company that I need to create an application where my employees can be able to request for leave, so I can just use that templates right from there. So like we have like lots of templates here where you can be able to start from: inventory management, property management, assets. So like depending on the needs of your business, so like you can start from any of these. So like this is the home page, and then inside the Powerapps, you can be able to access materials to help you get started with it. And also like we have a community of Powerapps enthusiasts where you can be able to join in and get to learn and everything, the new releases for Powerapps. And then apps here, I can be able to access all the applications that have been built by people within my organization. Like for example, we have the Game of Learner supply chain, and also I can be able to see the owners of this application, the time they modify this application, and the type of application that they've been able to build. I can be able to create like from this button here, data here. I can be able to have tables, choices, data flows, and also this is the common Microsoft Dataverse. So depending on what I need for my business, phone call, a team, a task, and everything. And also like Microsoft Dataverse can be able to store like data in form of tables, like just like any other database. So like this is how it happens. And then flows, I can be able to connect my Power Automate into the application, Chatbots AI Builder. So for the AI Builder, this is kind of something that you can be able to add intelligence to your mobile application. Like for example, you need to build an application that can be able to capture data from your forms. Like for example, I need to extract information from about 1,000 paperwork pieces. And how will I be able to build on an application or like an artificial intelligence model that can be able to help me do that and simplify my work? So you can just build a model, train your model without even writing a single line of code. Image detection, I can be able to build on that also. So explore, so like you have like several of them. Sentiment analysis, like for example, you need to integrate this AI builder to the Powerapps portal where you want to be able to track the customer feedback depending on the sentiments of the feedback, if it's positive, negative, neutral, where you can be able to extract them from what you have from the comments from like from your customers. And also like you can be able to translate languages. um in short this is the kind of the Azure cognitive services that you can be able to access. So, and just straight into our demo. So like for our data, I'll be able to store in SharePoint, where I'll be creating a list. So I created this site. So like to start off, you can just go to homepage here, create a site, and then depending on what you need, team site or the communication site. So just click on it, and then the site name. So like you can just say it's traffic collaboration site. So depending on how you need it, like on the privacy settings, public or only members. So like I'll just go with private right now. Then I can be able to add anybody to my private SharePoint list, like site. So like let me add Cyrus. Okay, so finish. And then there we have our site. So like you can be able to custom your site depending on how you need it. So I'm just going to create a new, so like and like let me just show you like where I'm going to take the list from. So like I created this kind of Excel like form where I can be able to store my data. So like the name, the ID number of the person, vehicle registration number, the type of vehicle, the crime that has been committed, which location, the date of the crime, the fine charges and the tracking number, and it will be able to create a unique like power up ID that can be able to, like, depending on the person. So like I'm going to take this list to my SharePoint where I can be able now to start from there. So like I just be able to create a list there, and then let me first of all have this list into my like upload it to here. Okay, let me upload it. It's Idea Traffic app. So once I upload it, I can be able to access. And for you to access all these, you need to have your data inside that a table. Like for example, here, you can see like my data is on a table and it's called table 1 here, over here. So I'm just going straight into it. So like I have my table here, and then I click on next, then I create it. So it creates a list within seconds, and then I have my list ready. So once I go to Powerapps now, so I want to start from SharePoint where I'll be able to access my list. So I'll just click on SharePoint, and then I'll be able to select the site for my SharePoint, and then select the specific list that I want to use. So depending on where my data is stored, so it's on SharePoint. So I'm just going to scroll down here, and I have the SharePoint there. And then the recent sites I can be able to see. So it has not reflected. Let me refresh it. It's published. Yeah. Let's just give it some few moments. Or even like I can just use what I created. So it's a traffic app. So then I choose from the list that I want to access. So it's Idea Traffic app list. Then I can just be able to click on connect. And then what will Powerapps do? It will just create a custom UI for me. Then I can be able to modify the UI to meet my expectations, the user experience, and how I need. So within just a few seconds, I can be able to get my application ready. So I can just skip that, and then I have everything ready. So like to try out this application, I'll just click on play, and then I can be able to access like everything from here. So like, for example, I want to see the crime that Mr. John Doe committed. So this is the name, the ID number of the person, vehicle registration number, the crime using the wrong lane along the Wayaki Way, and the date of offense. So if along the traffic way and I find another person was committed the crime, I can just be able to add another one here. So we can say Mr. Henry, then ID number 12345, vehicle registration number, it's 256, something like that, and the type of vehicle. So like, for example, oh, sorry, I had only modified this to be numbers. So like crime committed, I can say disobeying the traffic lights. And the location, I can just, so like for this, I can also be able to integrate the GPS where it takes the location where I am. But now but for now, I'm just going to have like a name. So like around Moi Avenue. And the date of offense. So like, for example, it's 2022. I had not modified my data to capture like dates. So when I just save it, so like you can be able to see where it will just come with this one. Mr. Henry, yeah, here we have it. So like you can be able to see like all these crimes. So, and when I go to my SharePoint list, I can be able to see this data has been captured there. So let me refresh this. This one. It uses my traffic app. So let me just go straight to that site. I'm trying to look for traffic app, and then Cydia traffic app. Then I can be able to see what I've been able to input right now. It has not reflected yet. But basically, it will be able to add what I've been able to input from my application to this list, and I can be able to access all of these here. Just go back, traffic app. Continue to access my list. And then here we have it. So like you can be able to see like what I've been able to input from my application as like has been reflected here. So like and it has the Powerapps ID, the tracking number, the charges and everything. I can be able to edit. And then now like for the Powerapps now, let me just show you an overview of the whole studio where you can be able to build your applications. So like from the far end here, we have a file. I can be able to save all what I've been able to build, share and everything. And then I can be able to insert other screens. So like screens here are just similar to pages from your applications. Action, like for example, if I need to add a button and everything. And then, so like for example, let me just create a new screen. So like for example, a blank screen. Then I can be able to add now like the UI of it. So like for example, I can add a button there. So and I name it like a homepage or something like that. And then I can be able to add an action to it. Like for example, when a person clicks on these, where will it navigate to? So I'll just come here to this tab of action, and then so like once somebody clicks on that navigate, it will go to which screen. Like for example, like it will go to the detail screen, edit screen, or screen one, depending on the screen that I've been able to create. So like browse screen, and then the type of transition, like for example, just like how a PowerPoint presentation looks like. So uncovers, like for example, like that. So once I play this, and then I click on this button here, where will it take me to? And also we have like data sources where you can be able to connect to like more than 200 data sources, depending on where your data is. And also like we have something about the offline capability of Powerapps, where you can have kind of like, for example, when you are in the field and you need to collect some data, but you don't have internet connection. So like you can have your data stored on these collections, and then once you are online, they will be able to be updated from your data source. And then this is the home page. I can be able to add like for example, a date picker and all this, depending on how I want to build my UI or something like that. So like this is where you can be able to add all these. AI builder here, business card reader, but all these are premium versions. What did I click? Yeah. And also like I can be able, just as an like the other application where they are traditionally built, I can be able to add all those features right from here. I can be able to add like a video player or something like that onto this application. So like once I'm done with my application, I can be able to share to like somebody within my organization. Like for example, this is a traffic app. So then I just save it. And then I can be able also to add like logo to it. So once it has been saved, I can be able to share this application to the person within my organization, or to the person that I want this application to. So like, let me just add Cyrus to it, then you can be able to see. And then I can give Cyrus permission to be the co-owner of this application, where they can use it, edit, share the app, but they cannot delete the application because I am the owner. So like, let me just give him this access to this, and then I share. So like once I share this application, say like Cyrus will be able to access this application, and we can be able to collaborate on this application. And also they need to access to this SharePoint site where the data is stored, or the Excel where the data is stored. But one of the you need to close this Excel form so that they can be able to store the data from. So once all this has been done, so like Cyrus will be able to get a notification about the application. And for example, if I need to have a versions like for example, I have different versions of the application. So like this is a live version, but if I've been able to add another feature to my application, there'll be another version here. So like once I have published the application, it will not notify Cyrus that there is a new version of the application, and it will update automatically. And also I can be able to export the package. Like for example, if I'm building a game application for this, so like one of the good things is that you can be able to export it as a zip file, and
Wait,
people outside your organization can be able to access it. Yeah.
did you say game?
Yes. You can build a game with the Powerapps.
That's a session we need to have.
Yeah. And also like I guess like you can be able to view some of the games that Brian Dang has been able to build. So I guess like I'll be sharing some of them while the other say like talks run. So I'll be able to share them, and then I can be able to add these power-ups to Teams, monitor everything, analytics and everything. So this is a complete application where you can be able to build everything that you need. And depending on what your business needs, this is how you can be able to do. Yeah. So and also let me just share some of the how you can get started with Power-Ups. So like I'll be sharing all these links to the chat. So just be on the look and how you can get started with Power-Ups. And if you want to get to know all about like Power Platform, you can be able to join our Power Platform user group Kenya, and follow us on Twitter at Power Platform Kenya, where we will be engaging on this Power Platform technologies, where we can be able to learn all these, and you can be able to kickstart a career with Power Platform. And it's always good to develop a curious mind and be able to learn all these. Uh, Regardless of like if you're also a software developer, you can be able to build plugins where you can be able to integrate all those plugins to the Power Apps. So like no one is limited. So yeah. So I'll be sharing all these resources. So yeah. Any question?
Well, there was a question, probably you could elaborate, but Jocamp already handled it. Humphrey was asking whether we could use, do we need to use, um, does it mean one has to have access to Microsoft 365 in order to build Power Apps? And maybe you could answer that, but Joe had already tackled that question.
Like access to, let me
Like,
just,
do you need a Microsoft 365 subscription in order for you to build Power Apps? If
yes,
I'm not
yes.
okay.
Yes, yeah, like Powerapps is a product of Office 365 where you need to access the you need to have access to Office 365, and depending on the admin, like your admin like for Office 365, they can be able to give you access to it. Like for example, me, if I just go to my office here, let me just click on this. Like there are some of the application that I can be able to access within my Office 365 account, and also like depending on the environment that I am in. Like for example, I'm in the finance department, so I don't need the environment for the IT or something like that. So like depending on the admin has given me access to that environment. So that is it.
Awesome. I think if anyone has another question, they can unmute themselves and ask away. Um,
Okay, I'll be engaging on the chat window, so feel free to ask any questions, and I'll be posting the links to the chat window. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Shadrach. And without much further ado, I can see we are slightly ahead of time, but that was a very interesting session. Shadrach was able to give us an overview of what we can be able to do with Power Apps, the technologies that we can interact with Power Apps. And honestly, I haven't been this excited since people were talking about the Tinder Swindler movie on Twitter. So you know how Twitter everything blows up. So and that begs the question: what's the last movie you saw? Did you see the Tinder Swindler app? And what do you think about it? Personally, for me, my M-Pesa is open. You can send money for me. My enemies are coming for me. But anyway, without much further ado, feel free to comment in the chat box what was the last movie you saw, or what is the movie you're planning to see today, being the weekend. And without much further ado, let's head on to a deep dive into Power BI with Julia Muiruri, who is our Gold MLSA. And without much further ado, welcome, Julia. The platform is yours.
Okay, hi Cyrus, hi everyone. So maybe Cyrus, you could confirm with my okay, not loud, not too loud.
I think your audio is okay, but you're breaking.
I'm breaking.
Yeah, now I can hear you properly.
It's good, yeah?
Yeah, sort of. Hello. It was kind of
Try
breaking.
getting you.
Yes, now we have you. Yeah.
Okay, so what about now?
It's
Is this
getting
better?
better. That's best. Yeah, that's the best.
Cyrus?
Hello. I said that was the best. Hello. Hello, Julia. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. She's probably joining. Julia had stated she's going to be having some technical difficulties, but let her just rejoin the chat and see probably if that's going to solve it. So anyway, we were talking about the last movie we saw, and I was just I haven't watched the complete Tinder Swing Life Fell Asleep, but it's really an interesting movie, and I'd like to know if you're not a movie guy, what books are you gonna be reading today? What podcasts do you listen to? Do you listen to the Power Platform Bootcamp? I believe there's a bootcamp. There's a Joe, if I'm not wrong, do we have any podcasts around the Power Platform the Power Platform?
That's a great question. I don't know. The podcasts that I listen to are, I try to decompress and get away from tech, and I actually listen to BBC football podcasts. So, um,
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know. There may be some podcasts, but I don't know, unfortunately.
Okay, we're gonna do our research and we're gonna post on the Twitter page. Be sure to follow the Twitter Power Platform KE because we're gonna be posting it in a hitch. Shadrach is gonna be watching a series on the Good Doctor. Oh, okay, amazing. Okay, Julia, we can see your screen now.
And can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Now we can hear you.
All right. Terribly sorry about that. My internet decided to just kick me out of the meeting. So sorry about that. I think we can just get started. I only have 30 minutes. And so we're going to have a session on a deep dive into Power BI. So just a brief introduction about myself. My name is Julia Muirure, as you've heard. I'm a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, or alumni, if you may, because I'm already graduated. And yeah, this is how you can connect with me. I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And guys, I think that's enough about me. I promise you Power BI is more interesting than myself. So we can just get right into it. So for the sake of that one person or the two people, on this audience today that do not know what Power BI is, this is just a brief introduction on it. So Microsoft Power BI is, I could call it a tool and a service where you can, probably turn your data. So you might have a lot of data from different sources, data that is unrelated. So if you have data and you'd want to transform it into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights, then Power BI is definitely the platform and the service that you for sure use. So I will be sharing in a minute why I'm saying it's both a tool and a service. So this is how you can make your data interactive. You can use visualizations. I will show you that in the demo. So I'll probably have a 5-minute presentation, then 25 or so minutes of a demo. Then you can also use what we call a Power BI report. That is what you use for, to see the visualizations that you've created from the data you have. Then we also have a dashboard. So a dashboard is basically a set of visuals taken from several reports and put together. So if it's a business scenario, maybe your boss would like, has some interest in specific areas of your data, you can definitely capture specific visuals and pin them on a dashboard, then you can definitely share that. So if you want to get started with Power BI, if you're already set up, we can actually do the demo with you on this call. So you can get Power BI desktop on Microsoft Store. So you can just install it from Microsoft Store. You can probably also download it online, but the most recommended is installing it from Store. And the reason is because in case there are any updates released from Microsoft on the platform, you will be receiving them automatically. So the best way is to actually install Microsoft Power BI from the Microsoft Store. So in case you'd also want to do a test, I see Joe Camp said that he'll show us how to, create a test of his account, and you can do it to test these platforms. But in case you'd also need a developer account, you can head over to developer.microsoft.com, create a free account, and you can use it to test it out. So just briefly, Power BI has three parts or three elements. So the first one is Power BI Desktop, which is basically just a Windows desktop application that you install. The one that I'm talking about, you will install on your computer. We have the Power BI service, which is just a service as a software platform that is provided by Microsoft. So you access this on the internet. You don't download Power BI service. So that is an online platform that you access while you're connected to the internet. And then we have the Power BI mobile apps. So if you have your phone with you, you can definitely have the Power BI on your mobile. And I hope you're all going to see that during the coming demo. So you might probably wonder, when should I opt to use Power BI Desktop, and when should I opt to use Power BI Service? So these are just like a few of the comparisons. So for instance, if you're having data from many data sources, if you're having Excel data, SQL, data from, you can think of any data source you have, then Power BI Desktop is probably the best. If you're having data from less sources, you can as well use Power BI Service. If the data that you will be using will have, you'll need to do some calculations on your data, you'll probably need to use Power BI Desktop because it has more functionality than the Power BI Service. In case you'd want to do some data modeling, so I won't talk much about that because I want to show you guys. I want you guys to see how it's all done. You can definitely do that on the Power BI Desktop as compared to Service. But in case you want to share your work, you want to share the report you're working on, you want to share any the dashboard you're working on, then Power BI Service is definitely the service that you're looking for. But they both allow you to work on reports. They both allow you to get access to visualizations, and you can also filter your data when you're using both platforms. So we are going to head straight to the demo. So I know I've not spoken much, but I think you guys have a better, chance of understanding if you see the actual implementation. So we're going to have a scenario. So we have a company called XYZ. So this is the name of the company, and XYZ is an office supplying distribution agency. So what they do is basically just, supply the different supplies you might need for your office. Talk of chairs, tables, binders, papers. So whatever you need, that is what XYZ does. And so your boss, so imagine this is the scenario, that is where you work. You actually brought in to that team recently, and your boss would want to make some decisions regarding the company, and they've given you data. So this is the data that you've been given actually. So this is the form of the data that you have been given. You've been given an Excel file that has data regarding what the company does. So this contains like, a bunch of customers, the cities they're from, the countries they're from, regions, the segment. So the customers are divided into three segments. As you can see, we have customers who are categorized as consumers, corporate, and home office. Then we also have the ship dates, ship mode. So I think so far they have, four shipping modes: economy plus, immediate, and priority. Then we also have the state, the longitude and latitude coordinates of where the customers are. Then we also have another sheet here that contains the product name, the discount, sales, profits, quantity, category and the subcategories. So this is what you have been given, and your boss expects you to now come back. Your boss now wants you to help them in making the decisions on the direction of this company. So assuming you know Power BI, because that is what you're going to do, if it were me, I would say, okay, thank you for the information. Just give me one day. Actually, give me a few hours, and I'll be back with, this data. I will present this data in a better way. So what do? You just head over to Microsoft Power BI. So I'm sharing the Power BI desktop version, and as you can see, it's sort of really easy to understand where everything is. So just a quick walkthrough. On the right side, you can see we have a fields pane. So this is basically where your data comes. So in this case, we're working with data that is on Excel. Once you add that data to Power BI, you're going to get the list of tables and the different fields on this fields pane. Then we have the visualizations pane. So this is where you have access to the different types of visuals that you can use to show your data. And in case these are not enough, in case you'd want to use a more advanced visual, once you click on these three ellipses, you can definitely get more visuals. Now, this is the beauty of it. We're not limited to these visuals that you can see here, but you can definitely get more visuals from the store. So I'm waiting for it to load, and you can see that there's actually so much. You have a lot of options that you can have. So I think my internet is really slow. So yeah, okay, perfect. So as you can see, we have a lot of visuals that you can use to show your data. So it's a matter of preference and the situation that you have. So for now, I will just use these ones for purposes of the demo. Then we have the next pane, which is the filters. And in case you'd want to filter the data that you're working on, you can definitely use this pane. And now this is the space where you'll be working. So I think we can just head over to, I think we can just start. Let's create a new Power BI so that you can see now how you can be doing this. So in case you have an account, in case you have your PC, feel free to, just do it as we continue. And yeah, you'll be happy with the results. I think I can guarantee you that. So yeah, so it's already loaded. And so this is a blank project. We have no data. So yeah, there's this pop-up you get once you create a new project. And in case you want some learning material, this is a good starting point. They have a lot of tutorials, a lot of videos you can watch to get familiar with Power BI. But if you're like me, someone who loves to explore, while I learn, I actually didn't go through all this. I just got in there and I started poking around. So we can now, let's just close this. And as you can see, our BI is empty. So the first thing you need to do is get data. You need to actually get data. So the data that we have, we know is in Excel form. So we're going to just come here and choose the data that we want. So as you can see, you have a lot of options, and trust me, these are not the only options. So if I can select more, you will see the variety of options you have to get your data. So don't worry about where your data is stored. I'm pretty sure there's an integration. There is a way that you can get that data from where it is and upload it to Power BI. So I think the pop-up is just thinking whether it should show up or not. And because this is a demo, I think it might take its sweet time. So, perfect. So as you can see, we have a lot of options. I mean, if you need to get your data from anywhere, see we have Azure, we've got SQL, Power BI data sets, Dynamics. Actually, we can't even go through the whole list, but for this demo, we'll use a simple workbook. So we'll use an Excel file. And once you select it, you'll get a file picker to prompt you to select the file that you want to work with. So we want to use, so this is the data that your boss has given you, and they really expect you to come with, amazing insights on how they can make decisions. So right now, you're going to get a pop-up on Power BI. And now this is where you're going to see, you're going to have a preview of the data that you're about to upload on BI. So in this case, as I was showing you, this is the data. It's exactly as I was showing you in Excel. And I am content with how it is, so I will go ahead and load it. But in case, if in case you're not happy with how the data is, you can always select transform data.
I just had friends when people were sharing
Sorry, I
values.
think. All right, thank you. So in case you're not happy with how this data is, you can always select transform data, and this is going to open a Power BI query editor where you can transform your data. So we won't do that at the moment, but if time allows, I can show you a different example that we can use to transform the data. So I will add both tables to my Power BI, and once I'm content with how the data is like, I'm going to load it. So now what this does is that it's going to add my data to Power BI. And as you can see, we have what is happening. It's creating the model. It's detecting any relationships. It's loading the data to the model. And so you're going to see your data in real time here on the fields pane. So, all right, perfect. So now we can see we have the two tables that I was showing you in Excel. They are now both on Power BI. And guys, let me show you something pretty cool. So far, I know that you have not seen me telling Power BI that there is a relationship between these two tables. I have not specifically told Power BI that I have a primary key in my data. So on this other side, the left side, so we are currently on the report page. If you select the data page, you'll just see the table and the data that you're working with. So yeah, so this is the data that we're working with. And if you select the model part, now this is something I really love about BI. It has already detected that your two tables actually have a relationship, and it's actually a one-to-many relationship without me having to specify that. So this is really the power of Power BI. So now let's just get into working on the visuals. So back to our demo, your boss wants to make some decisions, and these are some of the questions that we're going to answer using Power BI. So your boss is wondering, where is the business thriving at the moment? So where are they looking to scale to? So the first thing you'd probably want to use is a map, because we want to see where the business is booming. So we're going to click on map, and then we'll probably need to enlarge that. And from the list of orders, I can see that we have the longitude and latitude coordinates of our customers. So we can see that we have on the visualizations pane, we have a latitude and longitude field. So it says easy as dragging and dropping. So I can get the latitude coordinates and put them at the latitude field, and the longitude coordinates at the longitude field. And in a matter of seconds, you're going to have all the locations plotted on the map. So this is where the customers of this company are. Now, you've not even taken a whole hour on your PC, and you already have this much insights. So in case you'd want to probably change how this looks like, so let's imagine this time your boss really hates color blue, so you might want to make some adjustments on the visualization. So once you click on the map, next to this fields section, there is a format section. So you can click on format, and this is where you get to do some changing. You can change how it looks like. You can just make it look better. So in this case, probably my boss prefers color red to blue. So I can just choose data colors. I will change from blue to something like red. And so there's a lot that you can do here. Probably the bubble size is too small. You might want to enlarge it. So once you play around with Power BI, you will definitely find some cool settings here that you can play with. So for now, I think we can work with it as it is. So now this is one of the questions that has been asked. Where exactly are most of our customers in? And using the longitude and latitude data from our file, you've been able to plot the specific place. And actually you can zoom in to the specific location of where that customer is. Sorry, that is how powerful Power BI is. So for instance, this is not the data you're looking for. What if he meant the country? So I think we can add another page. So down here, you can click to add a new page. So let's use a different form of map. So we have a lot of visualizations here, guys, as I told you. Let's use a different map this time. You can use a field map. And now we want to see the country distribution of this company. So we're definitely going to use the country field. We see they have a column with the country, and we're going to add that on the location field. So guys, in a matter of seconds, you're able to see exactly where this company has been operating. And again, this boss of ours hates color blue. So let's just turn to red. So yeah, now this is now what I wanted to show you guys. This is really easy. You can really get a lot of insights from the data you have. Now, so far, can you compare how much you're getting from Power BI So for instance, if you decided to get this information from the raw data we were using, how much information would you get from that data? So I hope that you're already seeing how powerful this tool is. And then I think we can add something else. So we've already answered 2 of our boss's questions. So where the business is, and in case they want to scale, you'll definitely focus on where you're already good at. So the other question is, who are their main customer groups and where are they located? So I think we can still use this page. Let's create some space. All right, so now we have the different customer segments. So for this case, let's use something like a pie chart. Oh, sorry. We were using a map. So we need to create a new visual. So we're going to use a pie chart. And in this case, I'm interested in seeing the customer groups for our business. So I'm definitely going to select segments. And once I choose segment, this is going to add them on the legend. Now we also need that same data on the values. So I will drag it and put it at the values. So guys, in a matter of seconds, you already see the visualization of who exactly are your customers. You can see that we have slightly more than half of the customers being consumers. We have quite a good number of them being corporate and just a few of them from home office. Remember, if you want to customize your visualization, it's just a matter of formatting it. So right now I have the visual selected. I will go over at the format section. And for instance, I can see that we don't have a lot of items on the legend. So I can just toggle off the legend. And instead of having it there, just to create more space, on the data label, we can see that currently we are using the data value and its percentage. So I would definitely want to change that. We can use category and the percentage. Actually, I think we can use category and the data value. So you can see we're making it look more presentable, and it's actually creating more space for other visualizations. So I think I can also do some extra modifications. So for instance, I don't want this label to be outside the pie chart. So I can select the label position to be inside. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can increase the size, the font size, the font style that you're using. You can also change this topic. So now it says count of segment by segment. Yeah, definitely that makes no sense. So at the title portion, you can change your title. Let's say customer segment. Yep. Guys, in case you have any questions, please do post them on the chat. Customer segment. Yeah, you can, let's say, align it center and then increase the font. So guys, there's a lot that you can do in terms of formatting. So I will leave that to you, hoping that we'll all get some time to try this out. So I think the next visualization that we can see, so let's go back to what our boss wants from us. So he's also asking, what is the most preferred shipping mode? So if you can remember from our data, if you'd like to, reference the data that we're working with, you can definitely select, the table part of it, then you can see. So he is asking which is the most preferred shipping mode from our customers. And as you can see, we have the 4 categories. So we want to see the distribution of the preference. So for now, let's use a different visual. I think we can use a stacked column chart. So, and this is actually pretty easy. So we want to check the ship mode. Definitely drag it and drop it at the axis. And we also want the same values for our values field. Guys, again, in a matter of seconds, you have your perfect, let me call them perfect insights here. You can already see the comparison of how much people are preferring, economy as compared to immediate. And let me show you something really cool right here. So now this is just data. This is all the data combined. This is everything from the data that we have. Now, for instance, you want to do a closer analysis on a specific country. So we know that all these countries are currently where our customers are distributed. But let's say if I ask myself, what portion of our consumers are coming from, let's say, Sweden. So from Power BI, you can actually just select the country. And once you do that, it's able to adjust all the other visuals to now focus. It applies a filter and now focuses on Sweden. So you can already see we don't have as many people coming from Sweden, but if I can compare it to a country like France, so the same thing, just select the country you want to focus on. And guys, you can already see that it just shows you that we have a larger percentage of people coming from France as compared to Sweden. So this will definitely help us as a company realize that, okay, we can definitely scale out in France. We've got a lot of, potential customers there. You can even see their preferred shipping mode. So guys, these are just the few things that, just about a few of the things that you can be doing on Power BI. So I think the other thing I'd want us to look at, so we can definitely, I think we have time for another visual before we head over to something else. So there's this visual I really love. It's called key influencers. So there's a question from our boss and he's asking, which are the highest selling products? So remember, we have products in different categories that have subcategories. So we need to know, in case we were to cut off our budget, which products are we going to cut off? So from this visual called the key influencers, now we want to analyze sales. So we can start by analyzing the sales. From the data that we have, we want to know which products are giving us the highest sales. So as you can see here on the field, we have analyze field, and definitely want to analyze the sales. So I'm just going to, so we'll be using a different table. Remember, Power BI already created the relationship, so we can just use the different table. And here I want to analyze sales, so we'll just drag sales there. And I'm going to explain sales using category. Yeah, so I'm going to explain using category. And so you will see that Power BI is already running the analysis, and in a matter of seconds, you will be able to see the influence. So in this case, we are analyzing sales. So it will tell you what influences your sales to increase and what influences your sales to decrease. So in this case, if you actually hover on the presentation, on the visualization, you can see that technology is actually at the lead. So if you were to advise your company on which product to cut off, I think it's clear that telling them to cut off technology would be a bad idea, because it's what is contributing to the maximum sales. So you can see, guys, it's really easy to use, dragging and dropping. Guys, if you have better tools than these, please share them with us. I'd want to try them out. So you can already see that office supplies definitely has, brings less sales to the company as compared to furniture and technology. So you can also check decreased. You can also see the vice versa. You can also see that office supplies is leading in terms of giving the least amount of sales to the company. So this is definitely a cool visual that can help you, especially in the financial aspect of the business. So something else, remember our categories. So we have these 3 categories, and they each have their subcategories. So you might wonder, right? So in as much as we are saying that technology is the most thriving part of our business, what specific items are people purchasing? So we can definitely choose to use a different, let's use a column chart again. So now we want to see the subcategories. And so in this case, what I'm going to add is the category and the axis. So I just want to analyze the category and see what subcategories our people are interested in. So see on the legend, I definitely want subcategories. So guys, now remember, let me actually share this with you right now. This is something I love to mention, that right now with most businesses, the challenge is not actually getting data. If we were to be realistic, we would say that companies are collecting a lot of data from people, from users, but that data is only good to them if they are able to interpret it and communicate its results. So this is one of the tools that you definitely use to interpret your data. And now you can see, back to our example, you can see that in the office supplies, in as much as we've said the office supplies are not, being bought as compared to the other categories, we can see that we have some specific items that are really on demand. For instance, if you can hover on it, you can see that the subcategory items in the art subcategory are really being bought by the consumers. You can do a comparison. So once you hover, you can see the exact and specific items we're talking about. So if they were to cut off a product in the office supply category, you would definitely advise them to cut appliances. because people are not really buying them as much as you'd want them to use. So you can see the same for the other categories. And something interesting on the furniture, you can see that we have a product here called tables. I think people in Sweden and France don't really love tables. Maybe they prefer stools. I don't know. But as you can see, the chairs there, we have like 383 chairs and 25 tables being bought. So you can already even think of how these office setups are. You know, for in one office, in one home, they're probably having a ratio of tables to chairs is 1:5, you know, approximately. So that is how much information you can be getting from Power BI. And on to the last visual. I don't know how many minutes I have remaining, but I think we can do one final visualization. We probably want to know the sales that we are having in our company and how they're distributed across the different products. So we can use a different visual. Now let's use a ribbon chart because we want to analyze sales and profits at the same time. So guys, I can just show you how to do that real quick. So now what we're going to analyze definitely is the category. We'll need to know which categories are giving us what amount of sales. So once you do that, on the column values, we want the sales and the profit. We could use the profit. I think we have a profit here. Okay. No, let's use a different visualization because I think this is hard to interpret to someone. So you can definitely play around with the visuals and see which one works best. So in this case, we are going to use a different one. This one is called a line and stacked column chart. And from here, we are going to plot the line values will be profit. Yeah. So in this case, you're able to see that this the line represents the profit. So for instance, in the technology category, we are having the sales of like 886,000, and the profit that category is giving us is like 108,000 approximately. So this is also one powerful visual that you can use to analyze, especially the finances. And so I think with the remaining minutes, we talked about Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. So probably at this point, you have shared this presentation with your team and they're really impressed. So as a matter of fact, they're asking you, how can we get a hold of this presentation? Or, you know, we want to also interact with this data. So if you're working on your Power BI Desktop, you will not be able to share this report. And that is where Power BI Service comes in. So I think to make this readable, let's just rename these pages. So we can call this longitude and latitude. Any questions on the chat, please keep them coming. We'll definitely address them. We can call this country, just to name them differently. We can call this sales. Let's call it. Okay, so you'll definitely want to save your work, and it's very hard to recover. It's very hard to recover a Power BI that you had not saved. Once you lose that, unfortunately, it's the end of the road for you. So yeah, we're going to save that. And now we want to share these. We want to share these. The time. Okay, let me stop reading your comments on the chat. But in case of anything, Cyrus, please do speak up and let me know. So now we want to share whatever we are working on with our team. So definitely there is a publish button at the top here. So once I click it, it's going to publish this report onto Power BI service. So you'll need to select the workspace because you need to also limit the access. You don't want everyone, you know, on the internet to have access to what you're doing. So you definitely need to have a workspace. Now that's when it's going to be, that's where it's going to be published. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, it's going to complete publishing your report, and you can now access it on Power BI service. So I have that tab open. So maybe we can head over there. And if you refresh, navigate to my workspace, I will be able to see the recently published report. So here it is. And if you open it, you can see that Power BI service is slightly different from what we have on desktop. But as I was talking at the beginning of this presentation, remember that you have to think about, which product, which service works best for you. So now we've switched to Power BI service simply because we want to collaborate. We want to share this report with others. Then you will notice that there's something we're getting here, that the map and the field maps are not available in this org. So those ones are only available in, let's say, a premium, subscription. But for the subscription I'm using, we cannot have this visual on Power BI service. So, but obviously my assumption is that in a business setup, they're able to purchase, a subscription and you can get all the visuals. You won't have any limits. But in our case for this demo, we can only have these visualizations on Power BI service, except those that are only accessible on, let's say a premium account. So with this, you can now share easily your report. Everyone who has access to your workspace can share this report with you. And in case you'd want to export this data, you want to share with a couple of investors, partners, customers, you can always export. So let's try exporting it to PDF and click export. So as that continues, there's something else here. You can now share the whole report in bulk. You can share the file that you can also share with people with Power BI. They can run it locally on their machines. Then you can also generate a QR code. So right now, believe it or not, if you can scan this code, if you have your phone with you, just go ahead. You can scan the code, and believe it or not, you will have access to the report that we've just built here. So in case you don't have Power BI, app installed, so definitely proceed to the online service, and you will be able to have access to this report that we've worked on. So Cyrus, I'm assuming my time is up. Is that correct?
Okay, wow. It's just, you can just take all our time because everything is, it just keeps getting better and better because, oh my God, all this is amazing, but unfortunately your time is up. But we are going to be having more sessions on the Power Platform. Be sure to subscribe to our meetup group and stay posted on the events that we are going to be posting. But otherwise, this is an amazing session we've had. I think if there are any questions, kindly just unmute your mic, and because this is way too technical. Interact with Julia. She has way too much content. Thank you so much, Julia, for the content. Even though the Wi-Fi was a bit disappointing, everything was superb.
All right. So thank you so much, Sarah. So maybe as I wind up, as you can see, this is the PDF file that we have just exported. So you can definitely share this with anyone who's interested in, the analysis of your business. And back to the presentation, remember, I think we've answered all the questions that our boss had. And if I think I were the boss in that case, I would definitely give you a promotion if that is the kind of reporting you would be doing. So definitely, guys, play around with these tools. As for me, I'm not using any subscription. I'm accessing it for free. So definitely just learn how to do it. I will share these resources with you. And in case of any questions, I did share the link to my LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm happy to answer any questions. And in case you guys want a part 2 of either of the sessions we have here, definitely do let us know on the chat. So thank you so much. It was really fun sharing this with you all. And thank you. Cyrus, back to you.
Thank you so much, Julia. That has been an amazing session. I'm still dumbfounded. Luckily, today's session has enabled me to learn new vocabulary. And so I just learned I'm dumbfounded because that was just so amazing. I'm wondering what I'm doing learning coding, because really everything you can be able to do with code, you're able to do with Power BI and more, because it's really at your fingertips. You don't need to deal with bugs, compiler errors, indentation and stuff. Thank you so much, Julia. And I'd like to know, probably in the session below, have you joined the Global Power Platform Bootcamp before? And if you have, how relevant is today's topic to your work? So maybe I'd like to know probably how you intend to use Power Platform on the chat. Just let me know so we can have our developer advocates at Bootcamp who can be able to help you walk through your application, and even ask the team with Shadrach and Bethany upcoming and Julia to help you create amazing and awesome apps. Feel free to keep tweeting and keep retweeting on Twitter. Our hashtags are hashtag GPPB 2022. That's Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2022. And without much further ado, let me welcome Bethany Jepchumba. Bethany is now unfortunately all of them are graduated Microsoft Learn Student ambassadors, but Bethany is a previous gold Microsoft Learn Student ambassador. She still is gold, and she's a Microsoft certified trainer and a program manager associate at Andela, and she has a lot of stuff to teach us and to tell us about getting started with Power Automate. Thank you so much, Bethany, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Cyrus, for the introduction. Before I start my session, two things. My connection is a bit unstable, so I'll have to have my video off. And then there's something I want to share with you guys. So as part of the Power Platform Bootcamp 2022, we together with our developer advocates, cloud advocates at Microsoft. So together with Liz, it's called Liz Stott and David Abu, the cloud advocates at Microsoft, they decided we can have a global Power Platform Bootcamp challenge for Africa. So this is a challenge whereby 200 people will be able to walk away with certificates on Microsoft certification voucher. So you can head over. I'll share the link to your emails if you're RSVP'd. I'll also drop the links in the chat. So this is how the home page of the challenge looks like. You can go ahead and join the challenge. It started on the 18th. So once you reach on this page, you can go ahead, join the challenge. And so, nope. And then I'm so sorry about that. As I said, my connection today is very, very unstable. So yeah, so once you register on the platform, you just agree to the rules. You can go ahead and read the rules and then continue, and you'll be part of the be able to read. So far, we already have 7 people already signed up, and people are actually doing the challenges. The people who've already done 8 modules. So you can go ahead, register on the Microsoft Learn platform. Also to read the rules and the eligibility and everything. You can read. I'll also share this form. You can go ahead, agree to the rules, read get to know what exactly, how the winner will be selected, what prizes will be available, and then sign up with your name, email, profile name, yeah, and everything else. And then you, for the bootcamp attended, you'll just say Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, so that's just about it on the challenge.
Kindly share the links on the chat so that we get started right now.
Sure. So can I share it after my session? My internet is now stable and I don't want to disrupt it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Go ahead and start on my presentation. So I'll be talking about how to get started with Power Automate. As my slides load, so my session is on how you can get started with Power Automate as a beginner. And as Shadrach introduced me, I'm Bethany Jepchumba. I was previously a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador and currently a Microsoft Certified Trainer. I work at Andela as a program coordinator. So if you see me on the other side, just say hi. You can also find me anywhere on the internet using my username at Bethany Jep, and be grateful to reply to you. So we'll be talking about what Power Automate is, how it's useful in our day-to-day lives. We'll go through the different automate flows, and then I'll guide you into building your first, second, probably also the third Power Automate flows. And then we can also see which other features does Power Automate has, and then a knowledge check at the end. So be sure to listen in because we have questions to the end. So what exactly is Power Automate? Power Automate is a Microsoft 365 Office application that will enable you to combine different programs by incorporating, let's say, different connectors to ensure you automate the process between one Office 365 service to the other. So it helps you save your time, and you can actually create a couple of workflows. So the good thing about Power Automate is you don't have to write any code while you automate your processes. So this is an overview of how the Power Platform family integrates, and you can actually integrate Power Automate with any of the services that have been mentioned. You can connect it with Powerapps, Power BI, etc. So if your data is streaming, so if you want to connect to Power BI data that's already streaming, you can use Power Automate to connect to Power BI. So some of the use cases of Power Automate include, let's say you want to get notifications, you want to schedule messages, so you want to send out emails or messages on Teams. Probably you want to onboard a new student or a new employee to your company. Also, if you want to collect feedback from probably your employees, etc., you can be able to use Power Automate on all this. So a thing about Power Automate is when you're creating, so Power Automate, you create flows to, you create a flow to automate your processes. And when you're creating a flow must have a trigger and an action. A trigger is the starting action for the flow. So what makes your flow start? What will indicate this flow to, it's now time to start. And then an action is now, once the flow is triggered, what do you want the flow to perform? So for instance, if you're saying you want to send emails to all the attendees, so probably you want to be able to manually start the flow. So the trigger will be a manual starting, and then the action will now be probably get the emails from an Excel file and then share it out via Outlook. So those are two actions and one trigger. Yeah, I hope you get that point. And then, so when you want to now create your flow, you've already realized you need a trigger and different actions. So how can you get started with creating your flow? So there are 3 different ways you can create a workflow. So you can start with a blank workflow. So you just start from scratch, depending on now what you want to do with your flow. And then you can do a flow from a template or from a connector. So I'll talk deeply about the blank workflow, which different flows are there and how you can be able to implement them. So there's 5 types of flows. There's the automated flow, instant cloud flow, a scheduled flow, a desktop flow, and a business process flow. When we talk about an automated cloud flow, that is, it automatically starts without you having to trigger it. So for example, if you want to send your data from Microsoft Forms to Microsoft Excel. So that's every time someone fills a response to the form, the data is directly sent to your Excel file. So that's an automated flow. You don't have to go over and over again to go and start the flow, etc. That's an automated flow. It's automatic and you don't have to do it over and over again. And then there's an instant cloud flow. So this is whereby you're the one who triggers the flow to start. So there are different ways you can make your cloud flow run. So for example, you manually trigger your flow, or you can use like in Power in Power Automate, you also have the Power Automate application on your mobile phone, and you can actually create a button whereby you just press the button and then the flow runs. So let's say you want to time yourself using something called the Pomodoro Technique. So Pomodoro is like scheduling 20 minutes of focus time, and you want to schedule 20 minutes of focus time. So you just press the button for 20 minutes, and then when the timer is up, it gives you, yeah, your timer is up. So an instant cloud flow is triggered manually. That's how the cloud flow trigger works. And then we have a scheduled cloud flow. A scheduled cloud flow is whereby you automatically schedule the flow to run every other time at a specific, every other day or time at a specific time or date. So for instance, you have a group of, let's say for our program, for this bootcamp, we have now the countdown to the bootcamp. So like 15 days to the bootcamp. We want to send an email every day or a tweet every day at a specific time, reminding the attendees that, yeah, it's 2 days to the bootcamp, 3 days to the bootcamp, or something of that sort. So the flow will run at a scheduled time every day. So that's now where you use a scheduled cloud flow. You can see it has a starting time, the starting date, the starting time, and then how often do you want the flow to run? So is it after every minute? Is it after every hour? Is it every day? Is it every week? So that's where you now determine how your flow runs. Another example is, let's say you want to get the weather of where you're living. So you want to get the weather of Nairobi City every day in the morning and probably in the afternoon, so that, let's say you want to now plan your day, how you want your day to run, and if you want to run an errand in the afternoon, you want to know what the weather will be like. So every day it will be sending you either through your email or through your message that, the weather today is this and this. So yeah, and then tomorrow the weather is this and this, etc. So that's how a scheduled cloud flow works. The other different types of flows also include a desktop flow, whereby you download the desktop app and through different actions. So you can actually guide your flow on how to run using your desktop using your desktop. So it's like observes what you're doing and then copies it through. So the other flow is a business process flow. So this business process flow is now for your business. So in case you want to onboard a new employee, how do you go about it? So you create a business process flow, and the employee, when a new employee comes into your business, they go through the business flow. Yeah. So these are the templates. You can be able to see the different templates. If you don't want to build your application from scratch, you can start with templates or start with a connector. So yeah, let's get down to building some flows. So let me share my screen. So the first place you go is us.flow.microsoft.com. So we'll build 3 flows. If time runs out, I'll probably only build 1 or 2, but I want us to create one from scratch. So let's say we want to create an automated cloud flow. So an automated cloud flow is, as I said, it automatically happens when the trigger is, when it's triggered, when the trigger, I don't know how to say when the trigger is triggered. So when it's triggered, it just automatically starts. So let's say I want to connect Microsoft Forms to Microsoft Excel. So probably I can choose my trigger, which is when a new response is submitted on Microsoft Forms, and I create my flow. You can have a name to your flow or not. So depending on now how you want your flow to look like. And then, so when a new response is submitted, so I created a form specifically for this. So registration to Global Power Platform Bootcamp form. So the form I'll pick, So the form I'll pick is the Global Power Platform Bootcamp form. So registration to Global Power Platform. And then the next step is I want to now, when someone fills the form, I can be able to add a row to Excel. So you can just search instead of you now trying to figure out how you can be able to start. Just search, and then it will give you the different options you get using Excel. So I just want to add a row into a table. So I also created a table for this. This is my Excel file. So you have to create a table. So let's say this is a table. So if I create a new file, this file won't have a table. But if I want to create a table from this file, I'll come, no, not file sheet, a new Excel sheet. So I'll have to now format it as a table and choose the format I want. So my table probably has headers, and then this is how we format as a table. So I already formatted this as a table. And for the table name, since you can see I have different Excel sheets. So to format it, to be able to now differentiate which table I'm talking about, you can come to table design and indicate which table it is. So this is the registration table. So I'll come back to my flow and then choose the location. The location is OneDrive for Business. The library that I'm talking about is in OneDrive. My file, it's called Conference Registration GPP Bootcamp. So conference registration, and then the table I'm talking about is the registration table. So the file will now come in with the different fields in the table, and I can be able to now add. Oh, sorry, I missed a step. So when a new response is submitted, the next action is I should be able to get the responses submitted. So get the details from the response. Sorry, I missed this step. So the form ID, as I already mentioned, will be the registration form. So registration to GPP Bootcamp, and then the response ID is the ID I get from the response. I hope that makes sense. So sorry, I missed that step. So once you submit a new response, you have to get the response details. So for this, the output in this trigger will just be a new response is submitted. So that's the output of this. The output of this is now the responses submitted. So it will give me the different responses there. And then you see now I can be able to get what the responses entail. Since I've already gotten the response ID, I can be able to see the details in the response. So probably the name, I'll have it matched to the name. In the responses, the email address, the role of the person, the country, and then I save my flow. So once you save your flow, the next step is to be able to test it to ensure it's running. So you come here and test. So there are two different ways to test it. Flow already written, or manually you can. This is a blank flow, so I didn't give it any. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. So it doesn't need any permissions from my end. So I'll go ahead and register. This is now the form. So my name is Chumba. And then my email address is Bethany and ambassadors.com. My country is Kenya. And then I am a professional. So that's it. So my response is submitted. Let's see how the flow ran. So the flow is still running. Oh, wow, it's taken literally 3 seconds to run. So you can see what the different outputs are and the inputs. So the first thing is you get the form ID, and then it gives you now what details are in the form, what has been submitted. And then the next step is getting the responses from the form. So this is the response so this is what you have, the form ID and then the response ID. So the response ID is probably the 10th person to fill the response, and then it gives you what exactly I said. And then the last part is now adding the rows to the table. So it gets all this data from the previous flow, and the output is now matching what I already indicated. So the name, Jepchumba, email, Bethany, etc. So if I come to my Excel file, I can be able to see, yeah, there it is. I've been able to add my name, what I am, the country I'm from, etc. So I think that's one flow you can be able to try out. I'm not sure. Cyrus, how much time do I have left? Should I continue with another flow or?
We can see one last flow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this next flow, I'll have it come from now a template. So instead of if you want to create a flow from scratch, you can do so, you can exercise your mind. But then if you want to create, if there are already flows existing, you don't have to create it from scratch. So there are different connectors, as I say, there are different connectors in the Power Automate family. And let's say I want to match Twitter and Teams. So I want to get, when someone tweets, I want to get the tweet and send it to Teams. So I can be able to search Twitter and Teams. Yeah, so it gives me a couple of options, but the one I want is to post on Microsoft Teams when a new tweet matches the specified hashtag. So the first thing is giving it permission. So I already added my Twitter account and already added my email on Microsoft Teams. So it has access to Teams and to my Twitter account. So you will be prompted to do so. And then, so you can see the flow is already created for me. I don't have to go through the process of linking the flow again. But then the details is now what I need to fill. So probably I want to get tweets that have been tweeted using the hashtag BPB 2022. The channel, I want to use it to post it to a channel, and then the team ID. So I created a team specifically for demos. So I have a team called demo, and I created a channel specifically for the tweets. So GPB 2022 tweets. And then I want the message. So once that I get the tweet, what do I want? I want the message, probably the message will be the tweet text, and then the subject, probably I'll want to say tweeted by. So probably this person tweeted about 2022, and then I save. So as I said, the Power Automate, the flows link different types of connectors, and one of the easiest connectors to link to is Teams. So when a new tweet is posted, I alert the team, etc. So I can be able to test. As I said, you can test manually or automatically. Since this is also a trigger that needs to be, since this flow is yet to run, I'll need to trigger it manually. So I'll say manually, and then I test. So I'll come to Twitter. Probably switch back to my account. And then I tweet something about, so probably may the flow be with you. Then hashtag GPB 2022 at MS Ambassador Student Kenya and Power Platform Kenya. That's where I am. I can also add the event tweet, so Global Power Platform. And then, yeah, that one. So I tweet. So let me see if my flow has been triggered. Where's my flow? Oh yeah, this is my flow. It's telling me the tweet ran successfully. And so who's the one who tweeted? Oh, there's someone else who's tweeted before me. So this guy is called Oluwatubi, who's already tweeted about Power Platform Bootcamp. So if I come to my Teams channel, I can be able to see the people who tweeted. Actually, it's more than I think more people tweeted about it than just myself. So there's RG Masotu who tweeted about GPB 2022. There's Mubar Dauda, then this person. I can't even see myself. So yeah, so these are the tweets that have been done. So this, let's say you're hosting an event, it will be so easy to see now who are the different people talking about the event, and everyone can be able to actually go ahead. So there's a link here to like the tweet, so everyone can go ahead and comment on that tweet, probably say something about. So this is the tweet, the link to the tweet. And they can come here and say, wow, you're learning a lot or something of that sort. I just come and reply, or I like the tweet, or I retweet, or something of that sort. So yeah, that's it about linking Power Automate Teams and Twitter using Power Automate. So there are many other use cases. I can't go through all of them, of course. But yeah, I hope you can go ahead, build the flows. If you have a specific task you do every day at work repeatedly, you can go ahead and build something that will help you at your work instead of doing the same tasks over and over again. Just automate your workflows and have have those tasks that always boring and repeated thrown away from your workload, and now you can focus on your core business or your core work. So yeah, that's it about Power Automate. There are other features I've not talked about, like AI Builder, which now you can add AI to your flow, and your flows are more intelligent. So like if you want to read a business card, use AI Builder. If you want to check the sentiments, probably feedback from your employees, you want to check what's the feedback type, you can use sentiment analysis. And then there's also the process advisor in business flows. So in case you want to like now improve efficiency in business flows, you can use the process advisor. So I have seen a couple of questions down there, but I'm not sure if they're answered or not. I'll just check in a few. But then I want to also ask you one question. So how can you create a flow that reoccurs daily? So A, do you create the flow and connect the flow to a calendar? B, do you create the flow and then set the flow flag frequency to a daily reoccurrence? Or C, do you set the schedule reoccurrence trigger frequency daily at an interval to 1, or do you create the flow and set the flow flag frequency to hourly and the value of 24? So yeah, I think this will be now the last part. Just to answer this question as I check on now if there's any question on the chat for me. So let me specifically just share that screen so that I can be able to multitask. Yeah, so what is the answer? A, B, C, or D?
This is the first session we have homework, and I don't want to cheat, so I'm gonna leave this to the crowd. Wow, this is very interesting. We have to know now we have to know what's going on. You can even tweet your answer if you feel shy, but feel free.
Yeah.
Probably you can pardon again for those who didn't hear the question again.
No, it's on my screen. How can you create? I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Create that reoccurs daily. Is it A, B, C, or D? I want people to guess, even if you don't know, just guess. Is it A, B? My quiz has like answers, like multiple choices.
Yeah,
This is not like your uni where they don't even give you choices. I'm giving you choices.
I'm waiting for peer pressure. I can see Kevin Miner has already said B. Answer is B. Okay, Samuel has said B. Okay, Samuel Gako has said B. I think the answer is B. Yeah. Laura is saying B. Everybody, the answer is B. I am positive.
The answer is not B.
Oh my
The
God,
answer
it's not
is C.
C. Yeah, I knew I should have added one. Yeah. What positioning this?
The reason why the answer is C is because, as I said, I think I'll go back to that slide once I'm finished. So the reason the answer is C is because if you want to create a flow that occurs daily, the trigger will be now the frequency. So the frequency will be daily at an interval of 1. So every day, once every day. So I don't know. Let me share my flow again. US flow.
Okay, since Bethany has given us homework, we're gonna hold you up to it. We need another session on
But
the
now the
creative.
regular,
Yeah, we need to create something like an alarm clock or something that feeds the dog every day. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is repeat every 1 day. The recurrence is 1. So starting today at 10 a.m. You see? So you create the date. When do you want the flow to start? And then every day it will go ahead every day from that day at 10 a.m. Then it will repeat every 1 day. So then the flow will tell you that. So this is how the flow will run. Makes sense? So yes, go ahead and read more on Power Automate. So there's some resources I've added here. So you can go ahead, use Microsoft Learn to learn more about Power Automate. There's a whole documentation for it. You can, if you're a fan of YouTube, there's a YouTube channel for Microsoft Flow. And then, of course, don't learn and not build. Learn and ensure you build your flows. And
Yeah.
then the last thing is join communities. There's a community for Power Platform users on already there. So I'll share all these links, but ensure you go and build one flow, especially a recurring flow, and then share with us what you've built. Thank you so much, Shadrach. Cyrus. Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Thank you so much, Bethany. I think the session has been very interactive. Thank you so much for the question. I think in future we are going to be having quizzes, and we are going to be creating those those things where you usually answer. What are they called, Bethany? Those ones that, is it Kaggle or something? Those ones that you usually know. Kaggle is the dating site.
Kahoot.
Kahoots, yeah, that one. We're going to create so you can answer their anonymity, because that's, when you write B, they don't know you're the one who said B. But anyway, next we are going to be, last but not least, we're going to be having our session from Someleze Diko, who is a Gold Microsoft Launchpad ambassador. And without much further ado, let me just give him the stage. Someleze Diko has a lot of content, and let me just give him the opportunity to introduce himself, where he's from, and give us a brief introduction on today's session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I was muted there. I didn't realize I forgot to unmute. So, my name is Someleze Diko. I'm a Gold Student Ambassador from South Africa, Durban. And today we'll be looking at building a bot with Power Virtual Agents. Again, Power Virtual Agents is part of the Microsoft Power Platform, it goes with Power Automate, which is the entire reason why we're here today, the entire reason why we have this Power Platform Bootcamp. It is called the Power Platform Bootcamp. So I'll just give you a short introduction to how to actually build a bot with Power Virtual Agents, and hopefully I can show you a demo on how to do that.
Yeah, feel free to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm about to share the screen right now. Just let me know when you see it.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah, so like I said, today we're looking at building a bot with Power Virtual Agents. Of course, we can't just jump right into building a bot with Power Virtual Agents without understanding the background on what is Power Virtual Agents, just like how Bethany properly introduced what is Power Automate and how to actually build flows, cool flows that I just saw now. I'm very, very excited for that. But I'll show you how to build Power Virtual Agents or building a bot using Power Virtual Agents. So what is Power Virtual Agents? So I would like for you guys to take it as building a bot, obviously. It gives you this platform to build a bot without writing any code. because in most cases we know that for people who do not have a technical background and they want to build these amazing solutions and they want a bot, maybe for an example, on their system if they have a website, or they just want a bot for their project within university. And but now in this case they are stuck because they don't know how to write any code, or they do not have uh, a coding background. Power Virtual Agents is here to help you, because Power Virtual Agents lets you create powerful chatbots that can answer any questions, just like how any other bot you find in different sites that is posed by your users. In this case, we don't have to specify and say it's customers or other employees, but anyone that is intended to use your chatbot, and it empowers you to quickly just create that powerful bot using a guided no-code graphical user interface. So take it as if it's drag and drop for an example, and that allows you to build a very powerful chatbot for you and for your users to actually use. So again, Power Virtual Agents is a Power Platform product that allows you to create a bot without writing any code, without having to have a technical background. So in Power Virtual Agents, there's like different types of virtual agents. Those different types are a Power Virtual Agents web app, where you have your Power Virtual Agents user interface where you're able to create your chatbot there using that user interface, which is what we're going to use in today's session. And then there's Power Virtual Agents in Teams. So in this case, this is where if you are collaborating within Microsoft Teams, let's say within your university or within your organization, and you need to create a virtual agent within that Microsoft Teams tenant for your organization or for your university. That's where you'll be able to create a Power Virtual Agent bot within Microsoft Teams. So let's just head over quickly to the demo without having to speak too much and talk a lot of gibberish, without showing you how to actually build a Power Virtual Agent bot on the website for Power Virtual Agents. So what you see on the screen is you'd have to navigate to this link called web.powerva.microsoft.com, in which it will take you to the Power Virtual Agents website. So one thing I would like for you guys to consider is that, if I'm not mistaken, Power Virtual Agents requires an additional licensing for you to be able to use it using your Office 365 account, because most of the time, if you are using an Office 365 account, it normally comes with your Power Apps and your Power Automate and some licensing for Power BI. So for Power Virtual Agents, it needs an extra licensing, but of course, the Power Platform gives us the ability to actually have or be able to build some solutions just having a trial of that specific product. So even in Power Virtual Agents, you're able to just have a trial version of Power Virtual Agents, and you'll be able to build bots for yourself so that you can be familiar on how to actually create bots without writing any code. So that's one important thing that you'd have to note. So what you see on the screen is a bot that I created some time ago, but I'm not going to just show you that. We'll just build our bot a bit from scratch. It'll be a very simple bot. So for you to be able to create a bot, this is like a home page in Power Virtual Agents. You you go click on that icon at the top right hand corner of your screen called the bots panel. It'll show you that you have this bot and you have the ability to click on create new bot, because that is what we want to do. And what you need to note is that you can choose an environment. I don't know if in the previous sessions, most especially or most specifically for the Power Automate one, it has been mentioned that you can create Power Platform solutions in different environments. So if I can give you a small background on environments, is that, let's say you're part of this university or part of this organization and you are building solutions. Obviously, when you build a solution, you have trial and error, there's some testing involved. So you'd have an environment where you do development, maybe you can call it the dev environment. And then once your solution is ready to be used by the entire organization or by whoever your users are, you can have another environment called production, or you can call your environment prod, where you just publish your solution or your Power Virtual Agent or your Power Automate Flow, and then anyone who's your user for your system can be able to use it because it's ready for use. So in our case, I'm just going to use the default environment for the student ambassadors tenant and then click on create new bot. What you see at the bottom of the screen though is the different bots I've created before. So I'll click on create new bot and I'll click on continue. I'll name my bot because I'll just give the honors to this specific session. And it will ask you to choose a language. So there's different languages here, mostly English, Turkish, French, and Japanese. But for us, normally we just use English because we want our bot to be universal, to be accessible to anyone and everyone that we want it to use. Because again, our users could be specifically very diverse. It's not for a select group of users. And then again, the environments thing comes into play. So you can choose the different environments that you have. You can use the default environment, which comes pre-built within your license or within the Power Platform, or you can use a developer environment. So I'll just use the default environment in this case, and then I'll click on create. So hopefully this won't take a while because normally it just takes a while to create the bot. So what happens is your next step from this is you need to configure your virtual agent bot to be able to have a flow of conversation. So what does that mean? It means that whenever I don't know if any of you have noticed when they are using a website and it has a chatbot, they type in specific words or specific things within the chatbot. When they type in those things, it automatically knows what you're talking about, or it has a proper flow of conversation. So what you have to notice within Power Virtual Agents, like I said in the slideshow presentation, is that there's different components within the Power Virtual Agents. Whenever you are trying to create a bot, the most important of them all is the topics within a Power Virtual Agent bot. So which is what I will just show you just today for this specific session. So this is the homepage of your bot. Your bot hasn't been configured to be able to listen or to specifically listen to the messages that you want. So for you to be able to do that is that you'd use this left hand pane on the screen where you will see topics, entities, the analytics of your bot, and you'll be able to publish your bot. So also what you see on the screen, the big portion of the screen is documentation on how to create topics, for an example, how to sign in directly using your bot and how to publish your bot to a website or get topic suggestions. So obviously, even though I am just giving you the session today, obviously when you are creating your own bot, at some point you'll have some guidance, you'll have some documentation that will guide you on how to use the different components within the bot. So without wasting time, let me try and create a topic and be able to configure our bot to do what we want it to do. So I'll click on topics, and on topics, this is where whenever you come into a bot, or for an example, instead of talking about the bot itself, but let's talk about having a conversation with a peer or a person that you are used to, and you guys are talking about a specific thing. Normally you have a topic within that specific conversation. Either you're talking about Power Automate, you're talking about Power Apps, or you're talking about maybe your studies. So that would be the topic of your conversation. And in that conversation, there will be a flow of conversation where you move from one topic once you're done. If it's connected to another, you move from one topic to another, and then you guys have another conversation based on that second topic as well. So I would like for you guys to take the topics within Power Virtual Agents as something like that whenever you're having a conversation with a friend of yours. So those are pre-built topics here. You have greetings topics, which is something that always come pre-built within Power Virtual Agents, because obviously whenever you have a chatbot, you're supposed to be able to know whenever a person is saying hi or hello. And there's an escalate. So this escalate topic is one of the important ones where it escalates whatever conversation the user is having with the bot to an agent. So for an example, if I had been asking questions to the bot and then I'm not satisfied with the answers, and then now it will ask me if do I want to talk to an agent or do I want to talk to someone else, like a specific person, instead of talking to the bot, and then it will escalate it and it will probably call the manager or probably call that specific agent, but it will be a human being. So that is when the bot knows it's tried everything. It tried to answer my questions, but I didn't get the satisfaction that I needed. So now it'll try to bring in an actual human to take the conversation from that point on forward and try to answer my question. So let's create a new topic. I've been talking quite a lot. You click on create new topic and you can give your topic a title if you want to, but what you can note on the topic is that you have trigger phrases and you'll have a message. So this flow that you see here, not a Power Automate flow, of course. I know we just came from a Power Automate session. This flow that you see on the screen is a trigger phrases and then a message. Trigger phrases, like it describes on the screen, is whenever the user invokes the bot. So that is when I say a specific thing to the bot and then it triggers the bot. So obviously we spoke about triggers within Power Automate. Whenever something happens within Power Automate, it triggers the flow and it goes through all the different processes that it has to do. So even in Power Virtual Agents, we have something similar. But how similar it is that you have a trigger phrase whenever you say something to the bot, it triggers the bot and it goes through the different steps and flows that it has within the configuration that you have. And also it has a message. A message is more of a response to the trigger phrase. So if I say hi, it will trigger the bot and then the bot will just send me a message or pop a message to me and say hello or what can I help you today? One thing to note though is that in trigger phrases, you'll have to have 5 to 10 trigger phrases. When you try to configure your bot, it needs to have 5 to 10 short trigger phrases. It cannot have less than that. The reason is because the bot is trying to be intelligent enough to be able to know what other different trigger phrases or trigger messages it will get from the users. So if you provide it with less, it won't allow you to save. That's part of my knowledge. Or if it does allow you to save, your bot will not be able to grow intelligent and be able to cater to the different triggers or to the different phrases that people add to it. So I'll go on ahead and add a trigger phrase that I already have on the side. Then I'll click on plus to add another trigger phrase. So I have to do this 5 times. Then maybe a hi there, and I add another one. Then I add the last one. The last one will be hello. So please note, these are just for learning purposes. These are just trigger phrases that I came up with so that I can be able to show you how the actual bot works. When you have your own requirements and you're trying to build a chatbot within Power Virtual Agents, you'll have your own customized trigger phrases that are proper than what you see on the screen. And then after we've added the trigger phrases, now what message do we want the bot to pop to the user? So the message I already have here, I'll just add a message that says, hello, welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2022. So if I just close this so that doesn't become a distraction. So in this case, we have the trigger phrase of the bot, and the bot will just say, "Hello, welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp." And then that's it. That would be where the conversation ends with the bot, because it won't say anything else after that. And that's not what we want, right? So we'd have to try and cater to have like a very flowing conversation till the end of that specific conversation. So what we need to do now in for demonstration purposes is I'll just show another message to the user on the trigger phrases here. I had what is the purpose of today's event, or what is this event, or what is GPB 2022. So I'll add another message so that I can answer that question properly, because if you note, we have this is like more of a welcome message, and then this would be more of a response to the question if a user would ask one of these three questions. And then the next part now, because we don't want the conversation to end there, is we want the bot to ask the user a question. So how will the bot ask the user a question? We'll add another node. So when you add another node, you have different options, which is something is which I've shown you in the different steps. You have different options, which is ask a question, call an action. So this call an action, if Bethany wanted to go over more stuff with Power Automate, is that it calls a Power Automate flow that you've created in the back end, and it does something in the background, whatever you want it to do. So Bethany, if you want to add more Power Automate flows to your sessions, this is one of them. Please try this out as well. It's one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. And then the next option would be show a message, and then the fourth option would be redirect to another topic. So you remember the example I was making earlier on, is that when you have a conversation with your friend or a peer, is that you guys are talking about one specific topic, and in that conversation you end up you moving on next to another topic. So you'll be talking about your studies, and then after that you're talking about your career. So this is where the bot, you'll be able to configure the bot to be able to move to another topic based on whatever condition you'd have. So for an example, if you had a condition between this message and this other action that you'd add, saying that if this specific message comes in, if it's talking about Power Automate, for an example, move on to the next topic, which is Power Automate, explaining what is Power Automate and all of that. And then the last option would be end the conversation. So when the bot is ending the conversation, that means closing the entire interaction with the bot. Is you have two options: ending it with a survey or transferring it to an agent. So transferring it to an agent is when the bot will transfer it to an actual human, and the human being would come to answer the questions that the bot wasn't able to answer, but would probably choose end with survey, because we want to know if the user got their answers from the bot. But what I wanted to do as our next step for this specific topic is we wanted to ask the user a question. So we'll click on ask a question. And when you click on asking a question, it is very much up to you whether you want that question to have, or what kind of question you want from the bot to ask the user, either a multiple choice of options where the user will be selecting whatever options are presented to them by the bot, or and a response from the user. So the user would just write an entire message from the user. The user would write a message to the bot and will get that response, or they just want to we just want to know their age, or we just want to know their city or the color or whatever. But normally I just use multiple choice options for now, since we're just doing this small demonstration for this. I'll choose that. And then obviously we need to know what question are we asking our user. So I'll just quickly put the question that I already had. which is your favorite session so far. Then I'll add the options for the user to select. So I'll just add 3 options from today's sessions, which is the first session is creating a bot with virtual agents, this one. Then add another option. When I'm adding another option, again, you'll notice that I only want to have 3 options. So I'll add the last one. I think this is Joe's session. So after adding these 3 options within this question, obviously we want something to happen after the user selects those options or one of those options. So there's a condition after that. So whenever a user selects that specific option, which is the text from that option is equal to that option, create a bot with virtual agents. What do we want to happen? Or this other, if they choose a different option, what do we want to happen? If they choose a different option, what do we want to happen? So it's like if statements for people who are into programming or coding, like if statements saying that if this happens or if this is not equal to this, move, do this, or if it's equal to this, do that. So that's something similar, but we're not writing code, it's just an interface. So again, for people who are not into coding, this means that if Someleza Digo chooses one of these options, this is what we want to happen. So this is where you'd have to specify. So you don't leave it at the conditions within Power Virtual Agents. You add a node where you are specifying what you want your bot to actually do after the user chooses one of those conditions. So in this case, I will choose end with survey. So I'll end the conversation there because I don't want it to be lengthy. So when I click on end conversation with the survey, you will see that this is the end of the conversation if this user chooses create a bot with virtual agents. And then in this case, what we will do, I want to see, we'll also end this with the survey. And then if we go to the last option, and maybe, just maybe, we want to ask another question to the user. So we'll ask another question and we'll say, would you like to speak to the presenter? So that would be for this specific session. And then the multiple choice options again, which is my favorite thing to use, there will be yes, and I'll add another option, there will be no. So for yes, we will end this conversation by transferring it to an agent. And then obviously you would specify who is the agent in this case. So you'll see it initiates a handoff to agent, including the transfer of the private message to agent. The context information is configured. So this is where the user would specify a private message to the agent saying that I would like to know more about this. That will send a private message to the agent, so the bot would not have a record of this message, but it will go to the agent. And then in the second condition, if they choose no, we end the conversation with the save it. So in this case, that is your entire topic configured for your bot, that one topic configured for your bot. So obviously you see the flow of this. So we'll name our topic to be GPB 2022. And we'll save this. So that is the demonstration for how to create a topic and the flow of conversation that the user and the bot will have between each other. And then we can test the bot. So we'll try to test the bot. Obviously, it's showing here. We'll test the bot and I will type in the trigger phrase, which is, what is the GPB 2022 and I press enter, it'll give me, you'll see when I typed that trigger phrase, it showed the flow of conversation and it went to the message and it welcomed me. Say, well, hello, welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2022, and then went on to the additional message that answers the question, saying that the Global Power Platform Bootcamp is a global bootcamp focused on upskilling the community with Microsoft Power Platform skills. So that's the message that we got here. And then it asked me a question, which is my favorite session so far. So if I were to choose create a bot with virtual agents or choose getting started with Power Automate, if I choose this one, it will try to end the conversation. But before it can end the conversation entirely, it will ask me a question saying that, did that answer me, did I answer my question properly? So in this case, it's asking for feedback in terms of, I was asking a question about the GPB 2022. Did I receive the response that I wanted? I can choose yes, I can choose no. So if I choose yes in this case, it'll ask me for feedback and rate the experience using the bot. And if I give that response, it'll ask me, can it help me with anything else? So for an example, I had explained to you that you can still add another topic into your bot. So in this case, it says, can I help with anything else? If I say yes, it'll ask me that what else do I need from the bot? So to say, go ahead, I'm listening. So basically, that is the flow of conversation that you would have with the Power Virtual Agent bot. Basically, it doesn't necessarily just end the entire conversation if you still need more help. And if you had more questions, if I go ahead again, type one of these trigger phrases on the bot, it will start the process all over again, because as I said, I still need more help from the bot, and it will go ahead, ask me the same questions, and I choose now the last one, kickstarting a career in the Power Platform. And then it will ask me, would I like to speak to the presenter, which is that condition we had? And I say yes. And then it'll ask me to send that specific message. So that private message to the agent would be, I would like to know more about this. So the bot is just sending the message to the presenter or to the agent because the user said they needed to speak to the presenter. Obviously, you can configure it to be anything that you want. So obviously, again, if you're satisfied with testing your bot, and this is how your bot would be looking like within your web app or within Teams, if you did this within Teams, then you can go publish your bot. And when you click on publishing your bot, obviously when you see here, these are the different options or channels that you'd have for your bot, which is Facebook, Skype, Teams, Slack, and all of the other options that you see here. And you can click on publish the bot and it will publish your bot, obviously. And again, what I love about Power Virtual Agents, unlike using like a pro code development bot, if you coded it, is that you can make changes to your Power Virtual Agent bot and then without having it to take without having it taken down if it's already being used by a user, can make changes and then publish the new changes and people will still be able to use the bot. The previous version would be replaced with the new version. But what I love is that you don't have to take it down and say, this is the downtime that we have, or it's still is going for updates. You just update it and then you publish it again, and then people will have the latest version of your bot. So obviously when you click on publish, it will publish your bot and you can share your bot. So basically that is what Power Virtual Agents is and how it works. So what's next after the session is I would like to give you guys some homework. I know Bethany gave you some homework as well. So I'd like to give you some homework. So my homework comes in the form of you going through the different resources around the Power Virtual Agents. So you can see what Power Virtual Agents is for the web app, firstly, and then you can see what Power Virtual Agents is for Microsoft Teams if you want to create a chatbot within Microsoft Teams. And then if you want to create a Power Virtual Agents, which is the same process and steps that I just showed you on a web app, or you're creating it for your web app, you can go to this link as well. And then also participate. I know I didn't add it to the slide, but participate to the Global Power Platform Cloud Skills challenge that Bethany mentioned in her at the beginning of her session as well, which you will be able to get a free voucher for the mic or well any Microsoft certification, I think for the fundamentals mostly, but an additional one that I'll ask you to do after that specific Global Power Platform Bootcamp Cloud Skills Challenge. Not that I am trying to tilt you towards the Power Platform, but I would like you guys to go and do the Power Platform Fundamentals Certification exam. And you'll find on Microsoft Learn that there's an entire learning path that is teaching you about everything, about the basics of everything within the Microsoft Power Platform, and you'll be able to go and write an exam for that specific certification, and they will ask you questions based on the learning path mostly. So other than that, thank you for having me today. I don't know if anyone has questions about Power Virtual Agents, which I'll be more than happy and willing to answer, but I really would like for you guys to do that homework and go read up on Power Virtual Agents and also read up on the entire Power Platform.
Thank you so much, Nico. That was an amazing session. I believe people are actually now attentive in all the sessions because clearly no questions means everybody got the points. And I believe your Twitter is open for anyone. So if anyone has like a question you need help on Power Platform, I'm sure Nico would be very happy to help you in the area. Thank you once again, Nico, for that amazing session. Everything was so clear. We learned a lot about Power Virtual Agents. Feel free to check out our Twitter hashtags. That's hashtag GPPB2022 or hashtag Power Addicts, Power Apps, Power Platform, and stay posted. In our next and last session for today, unfortunately, if you are here in Global Power Platform Bootcamp Season 1, you are able to notice that we had a 2-day session. Now, unfortunately for this one, time wasn't on our side and responsibilities, but we have been really waiting for this session with Joe Camp, who is a developer advocate for Powerapps. And Joe has really helped the Global Power Platform Nairobi community since when we were growing. And without much further ado, I'd like to give Joe Camp the platform so that he can give us an introduction on how we can kickstart a career in the Power Platform. Thank you so much, Joe. Welcome. The platform is yours.
All right, thank you, Cyrus. Let's see. I'm trying to share my screen. Let's hope this works. Everything's gone off famously, and then I'm the one that's going to mess it up. So hopefully that's not the case. And I don't know why I can't pull this up. Oh dear. Huh. Bear with me. Oh, wait. Here we go. Let's see. I think you can see my screen now, correct?
Yep, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So hey, everybody. Sorry for the delay there. I know that we've been sitting down and you've consumed some great content from our speakers, starting off with the opportunities of Power Platform from Consolita, and then Cedric did a demo on Powerapps, and then Julia talked about Power BI. Bethany talked about Power Automate, and then Somalese talked about Power Virtual Agents. And so I'm here to try to wrap all that stuff together, and then tell you about some great things that are happening within the job market for Power Platform as I've been seeing them. But before I do that, let me switch over. So this is just a quick intro to me. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my history, my story, and then we're going to talk about Power Platform job market. And then, you know, like some of my previous speakers, give a little bit of homework. And actually, some of the homework that I'm going to give you, you've already seen. So that's good. That means that we're all on point and we're all thinking in the right direction or in the same direction. And the reason I want to talk about my history is because I feel like that it is, and this sounds a little like ingratiating to myself, but hopefully it's a little inspiring for folks. And I'll tell you why. So let's see, am I going to change channel here? Okay, so here we go. So my story, and this is real quick, and then we're going to get into the kind of more important stuff in just a second. But my story is one of a career switcher, and the story goes something like this. I went to university, studied finance. I got an MBA, focused on finance. Tech, not part of my my studies outside of taking the required classes. Between 17 and 18 years, I worked for a bank as on a capital markets desk trading bonds. And then the economy within the U.S. Started failing. That was not doing well. The bank that I worked for failed, and I found myself out of a job. My wife was like, Joe, I really like Seattle. You need to figure out how we can stay. And so again, tech wasn't really part of my radar, but I happened to stumble across a role within Microsoft that was not real technical. It was more relationship management, relationship building, project management, and that was with an influencer program called the Microsoft MVP program, which is very community oriented, very similar to what we're doing here. And then from there, I worked in that role for a while, and then transitioned into a similar role with the Windows Insider program. And then in July of 2020, I was asked to move over to the Power Platform role within the Dev Advocacy team. And this is really the first real technical job that I've had, technical as in IT technical, right? And so the idea was to bring me in as a career switcher type of person who doesn't really have a technical background, but go through the process and kind of chronicle my journey of learning Power Platform and then sharing that journey with other people like myself, other career switchers. And that's through talking like we're talking here, through social media and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of my story. And, you know, I think the next piece of this is to talk about the skills that I learned in those roles and how they apply to Power Platform. And so project management, program management, customer engagement, product marketing, all of these, and I should have done this and I didn't, all of these really kind of have a relationship with app building or with process automation, or with PVA, the Power Virtual Agent, or Power BI. Because if you think about all of these scenarios that we were shown earlier today, there was a process where the speaker was talking about a process. We would go here, we would do this, we would do this, we would do this, right? And there was some creativity about some of these things from the Power BI and using different visualizations to show data visually for people, or the Powerapps and how to think about how you can build out a different UI, make the UI look a little bit better, the user experience, and work on that. And then from the power automation perspective, you're thinking about processes and how going from one process to or one step to the next step to the next step to the next step. And so, these kind of soft skills that you learn in other roles are very applicable to the tools that we were shown today. And that's kind of where I'm trying to bring all this together for those of you on the call who have called in. I'm assuming that a lot of you are computer science educated people, but I have a feeling there are some of you that may not be. You may be marketing, or you may have focuses on finance. You may have focuses on human resources, or you may be in the job market and you're working someplace, and say you are a software developer, but you realize that there's some opportunity with Power Platform and learning all of this, and then taking that to your management. I think is a good opportunity for you and for your organization. So trying to tie all that together, and hopefully I'm doing a decent job of explaining how the soft skills apply to the ability to build out tooling with Power Platform. And so with all of that, I want to talk about now kind of more of the, darn it, I keep hitting the wrong buttons. The job market and Power Platform, how customers, or excuse me, companies, enterprises are looking at Power Platform more and more and more. But I want to start off by highlighting a few things. This slide was built in 2019, right when the pandemic of COVID was hitting the world. And this is based off of some research from Microsoft Research. And the premise is that by 2025, there is going to be a need, or there's going to be around 150 million new jobs that are created, where there is going to be some skill sets that are going to be needed for the ability to write code, software development, cybersecurity, data analysts, all the things that are listed on this screen. And if you think about it, I think most of you all of you all are either in university or you've already gone through university. And I can definitely speak for the universities within the United States. There is no way that we can, that the university systems can educate that many people in this short amount of time to do these jobs. So part of that is there's some opportunity from a Power Platform perspective, and you may not have the computer science degree, but you have say you're a finance person, and you're able to build some low code solutions, Power Platform low code solutions. That is going to serve and help fill in this gap of people that are in need by corporations. And so to just even put a little more context behind that, last year, when we had the Global Power Platform Bootcamp, James Phillips, who is the president of the Business Applications Group within Microsoft, shared a slide out. And I don't want to go through all of this, but two things that to me that really stick out. And the first bullet is, and again, this is based off of Microsoft research, that within the next 5 years, there's going to be a need for over 500 million apps to be built. I mean, think about that. 500 million apps to be built. That's more than had been built over the last 40 years. Crazy. That's a crazy number. And then on top of that, the demand for mobile apps from corporations is like growing at a multiple of 5 faster than where IT departments can deliver. So those 2 bullet points really kind of validate a lot of the numbers that we were showing, or that I showed earlier in the jobs, the job numbers. So a lot of opportunity. This slide, I really love this slide. For one, because I built it, but for two, I think it kind of shows the progression of low code. And first low code came out, Powerapps came out, Power Platform came out in 2015. Really kind of Microsoft internally dog fooding and playing around with it and that sort of stuff. And then we pushed it out, and we had some corp departments, some corporation IT departments, and some tech consultants started playing around with the tech. And that has then morphed to being pushed out even more to consulting firms. And when I built this slide, around a year ago, in November of the previous year, I had really seen a big spike in the number of the number of consulting firms that were looking for people that had Power Platform skills. And so that again validates these numbers that I was showing earlier, of the need for corporations, from enterprises, looking for people to be able to build applications fairly quickly, which low code provides. And what's going to happen is these consulting firms that are trying to meet the demand from their customers by supplying people to build apps for them, that information is going to be pushed out to the corporations and then into the departments within those corporations, so HR departments, marketing, accounting, operations, finance. And we're seeing it bit by bit now, that corporations are looking for people who are in marketing, but also have the ability to build out automation tools, or quickly resolve situations, processing problems. So again, another great opportunity. Now, with all that, one of the things, the next couple of slides are some pictures, ironically, that I've taken from some Power BI reports that I've built, of job numbers that I've been tracking. And I think these are pretty interesting. So this is a picture of all this data that I'm going to share with you is public data that I pulled from LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, I think you all have played around with LinkedIn, and there's a job section with LinkedIn, and you can kind of do some searching for different jobs, based off of keywords, and do some queries. In March of last year, I started looking at job opportunities posted within LinkedIn where Power Platform, or Power Apps, or Power Virtual Agents, or Power BI, or Power Automate, one or more of those names or words are within the job description. And so in March, there were 47,000 jobs globally. Not even a full year, that number has almost doubled. The 88,000 is a number that I pulled this past Monday. So again, this validates these predictions from Microsoft Research of the need and the want of corporations to have skilled people in their in their employ that have the ability to build apps fairly quickly, do automation, do some sort of data visualization, and that sort of thing. And so, this is just, I think it's just something that's just growing and growing and growing. And then it's like, all right, Joe, well, this is great, but is this just all within IT and software development companies? And yeah, there is a lot of that, but there's also a lot of other industries that are looking for these same type of people: financial services, human resources, management consulting, staffing and resources. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. Accounting. So the snowball, it's this big snowball effect going down the hill. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know this sounds a bit like a sales job, and it's not intended to be. It's just to share with you, there's a great opportunity out there for you all to kind of skill yourself up and make yourself a much richer looking candidate for opportunities that are coming or that are here now. Now, one of the things that I did want to share is this is a graph of some jobs that I've seen within the continent. And so I'm looking at Kenya, I've looked at Nigeria, and I look at South Africa. And though the numbers look a little low relative to the bigger numbers that I've shared with you, what I see in these charts and in these graphs are trends. And the trends, though in Kenya it looks like it's a little flat right now, it's still trending up. In Nigeria, it's trending up. In South Africa, it's trending up. So a lot of opportunity that, at least in my mind, is continuing to surface itself. And I'm really excited about all of this. This is a snapshot of some of the companies that I've seen that are posting jobs for people with Power Platform skills. And you can look at the company types. And so you've got, obviously, you've got some information technology people, you've got some computer software people, management consulting. Then there's a KPMG in the US, financial services. Obviously, Microsoft is in there. Ernst & Young, right? This is the line right here. Ernst & Young, which is an accounting and financial services global company, 1,500 job openings where Power Platform, in some fashion, is listed within the job description. To me, that's pretty amazing. The Nigel Frank International Company, that's a staffing and recruiting firm. They have this, and again, this is from, I think this is from Monday, this past Monday, 1,700 job openings that they're searching for people that have this skill set, these skill sets. So again, it's I think somebody had said earlier in the chat that data was the new currency or the new oil or something along those lines. This is some pretty strong data right here. It's a pretty strong currency from this sort of perspective. Now, I'm not going to do a query. I'm not going to do a live demo of pulling information in from LinkedIn. I think that you all are pretty savvy and can figure that out and know how to do that. I mean, I will share that it's pretty simple going into LinkedIn, and this is not dynamic. This is just a picture, but you just click on this suitcase at your profile page when you pull it up, and then you can just run some queries here with keywords, and then based off of whatever country, and then you can filter that down however way you like. There's a ton of different ways to pull that information out. It's really interesting. One of the things that I did want to share, and this kind of goes back to my slide about Kenya or Africa, and kind of the lower numbers, but one of the things that's been really interesting, and though I haven't been tracking it, I'm still seeing this. This is some data that I pulled from 2 days ago. So at that time, the total number of jobs on LinkedIn where Power Platform and others, excuse me, were in the description, was 87,000 globally. Out of that 87,000, over 10,000 of those roles are listed as remote. Now, I would say that prior to COVID, that number would have been a lot lower. But since COVID has hit, and more companies had been forced to have and allow their employees to work from home, they've realized that employees are still very productive at home. And so they're becoming a lot more companies are becoming more comfortable with having remote workers. And so what that does is that opens and it kind of levels the playing field globally for people. All right. A lot of times, there may be some restrictions on the remoteness or where you are, but it still provides a lot more opportunity for a lot more people throughout the world. And I think that's pretty exciting for everybody. So that's kind of the highlights of Power Platform from my perspective, from a homework, and some of these you've already seen. I do want to point out a couple here. The first bullet point, we did a Udacity course about a year ago. Udacity is normally a service that you have to pay for content. In this case, this is a free course. It takes about 8 hours to do. When you finish the course, you will have a working app on your phone. I think there's a little bit of AI in there as well. I mean, it goes from setting up your environment on your machine to how to load the software on the Powerapps software on your phone, walks you through step by step by step. It's to me, it's a great tutorial class. Two other classes, and one of them has been mentioned already, is the Power Platform Fundamental Certificate coursework. And that is tied to Microsoft Learn, and it's called a learning path. And you can go to this website, and there are, I think it's 7 or 8 kind of chapters that go through the fundamentals of Power Platform. And that includes Powerapps, Power Automate, Dataverse, which is the data backend. I think a couple of folks referenced Dataverse, Power BI, Power Virtual Agents, and I think maybe there's some security type of information in there as well. And then the third bullet point is a step above that. It's a little bit harder. It's the Powerapps Maker Certificate, and goes in a little more detail on building apps and connecting app to a Power Automate, and then maybe even connecting that to a Dataverse, so that you have this kind of full-blown solution, and then you can pull that data into a Power BI solution. So really cool. And the reason I want to highlight those two things, specific to all the other kind of job information that I was referring to, is that I do see in some of the job descriptions, employers look at and ask for if you're certified, if you have some sort of certification, some sort of Microsoft certification for Power Platform. Not all of them, but a lot of them, or many of them. And I think from your perspective, as somebody who may be looking to enhance your CV or enhance your profile on LinkedIn, getting these certifications will definitely pull you up in front of other people. So I think it's a great opportunity. Now, one of the things that I had mentioned earlier, somebody had asked, I think it was Humphrey, had asked about, do you need a Microsoft M365 account for Powerapps? And what you can do And this is actually this is my test environment. And what I've done is I've written 2 articles in LinkedIn. It's this test environment setup and then the M365 developer program. If you can read through those programs, I go step by step on how to set up your environment and then how to tie that environment to an M365 developer program so you get the ability to play with Powerapps and Power Automate. I think Power BI and Dataverse. It does not include the Power Virtual Agents, which I think Somaliz had said, and you can do a 30-day trial for that. And then that's my LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, please ping me, send me an email. I'd love to connect, love to chat. Like I said, I love these kind of gatherings and talking with people. So happy to have those conversations. And then that's really the crux of my conversation. What I would like to share is this is the team. So this is me. This is our manager, April Dunham. I think somebody maybe had mentioned David Abu. He is in, where is he? He is in Nigeria, in Lagos. And then my friend Homo Mohapi, he is down in Durban in South Africa. These are our Twitter handles. You're more than welcome to follow us. They provide some great information socially to learn. Yeah, so that's it. I don't know if there were any questions, but thanks for having me. And hopefully this information was very helpful. I really appreciate being here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. That was amazing. We've really learned a lot. You can be able to see the team. I'm happy from Twitter, and glad everybody is here. So now we are on to the last challenge of the day. I need you guys to switch on your cameras. I can see Joe has switched his off, and Bethany is going to teach us how to do a together mode and take a selfie for Twitter. Yeah, because it's custom. When you go to an event, you gotta take a selfie, and you gotta let people know, man. Yeah. So Bethany, I hope you fixed your internet connection.
Yes,
You're the one with the 4K webcam.
yeah, it's now okay. Let me see. Yeah, it's now okay. Let me share my screen.
Our co-organizers with Shadrach, Praise Consolata. We have Gold Student Ambassadors. Flavian, where are you? There's Gomolemo, of course.
Oh, wow. I shared and then it disappeared.
No,
What
yeah,
can you guys see?
Yeah, I can see. I'm the tallest one. I should be seated behind. Yeah. Okay. Without much further ado, let me just take a screenshot for the clouds. And feel free to go and tag yourself on Twitter. We're going to post this using our Twitter account. Okay, we have to like pause or something. So 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay. Amazing stuff, you guys. Thank you so much for joining today's session. If you missed a couple of today's session, don't worry. We recorded all the sessions, and the sessions are going to be available on YouTube, on our Microsoft Student Ambassadors KE channel. The link will be shared in our Twitter channel. Thank you so much. Have an amazing Saturday. I know I will have one. And I wish to see you guys in the next one. So the next one, we now have a challenge. I think Joe Camp is here. We pray to God so much you're going to be in the next one. We are going to have a bot that accepts people into the community and gives you a breakdown on what GPPB is for Kenya. Yeah, so we need to get those numbers up. Like South Africa, you can see Iko is doing a good job representing South Africans. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.